What's going on, everyone? Welcome to Real Talk Real Estate. This is the David Green Show live. Thank you for joining. A couple ground rules. If you guys are listening to this live and you comment, we will see it. We will do our best to respond to your comments. So please do make sure you go live. And if you're watching this after it's already been recorded, well, hey, that's cool too. Make sure you leave a comment below and let us know what you thought of the show. I'm joined today by Caleb Wright, bit of a real estate aficionado in Oklahoma. Caleb, I wouldn't even know how to start describing what you do with real estate. So I'm going to let you go ahead and describe to our listeners your experience level and how you are involved in all the different ways of real estate that you are.
What's up, Dave? Dude, I'm a one-stop shop, bro. That's pretty much it, right? I'm a broker, so I help people buy, sell. I'm a new home builder, so I help them build if they don't want to buy something. I'm a investor, so I've got holds, long-term holds. I do some, short-term holds, like some flips, that type of stuff. One-stop shop, dude.
Well, you also build houses. You mentioned that.
Yeah, I said that. Yeah, I said
Okay.
that.
You said it so
Building houses, custom builder. Gosh, dude, we just wrapped one up last week, and so we're about to start two more. And when we start those two, we'll be with 7 in the ground at once. Pretty crazy.
Okay. So you build custom homes for clients, help them design it, help them pick them out. They're actually crazy affordable. What's like a 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom house that you build might run somebody?
Oh gosh, 3 2s. And we're doing some nicer stuff too. Our typical price per square foot is 150, 155 a square foot. We got a custom one for a guy. Had a very nice enclosed back porch, like screened in back porch. Super nice, 1,500 square feet, 3-2, 2-car garage. Dude, we got that thing built on his site. Had a beautiful 2-acre parcel just on the top of the hill. You can see the lake, the rivers. We built that thing for him for like $244, something like that.
Okay, so 3-2, brand new construction for like 245,000 or so.
Yes, sir.
All right, and then you flip houses. You got some rentals out there. You're a broker, so you have agents that work underneath you. You're a real estate agent, so you sell houses. You also are involved in a T-shirt printing company. That's one of the biggest ones in the state. You're very humble, so you didn't mention that. You're the only person I've ever met that was offered, let me get this right. You were offered a semi-professional contract for a football team despite never playing in high school or college. Am I right with that?
That is correct. That is a correct statement.
You walked on to a
professional. I did a tryout. What was that? They were the Tulsa Defenders at the time.
It's a cool name.
It was cool. A little semi-pro league. And I was like, you know what? I'll go try out. And so I went and did all the stuff. I was a young man back then too. I was about 20. I was strong as an ox back then. I'm a pretty strong fella now, but gosh, I was close to 300 pounds, and holy smokes, dude, I was pushing like 400 for like 15 and 20 reps, 405. It was nuts. So I went and tried on, and they're like, they scooted over and talked to me, and they're like, "Where'd you play football?" And, I was like, "Well, I didn't." And like, no freaking way. And I was like, "No, I'm serious, dude. I just didn't play." And so they're like, "Well, we'd like you to play for us." To which I said no, because after I tried out, I saw the level of athletes that are there. Dude, let me tell you, even in Tulsa, Oklahoma, on a semi-pro football, there's some high-level athletes. I'm like, I don't know how to tackle anybody, so I'm not gonna go get myself killed. Still blew out my knee doing power team stuff a few years later, but here we are. You live in
that. So you were on a power team, which we haven't mentioned, but we're gonna get to that now. A power team is those people that sort of go out there and do crazy feats of strength to entertain people, often in the name of Jesus. I'm gonna be honest with you, man. I never quite understood what bending a frying pan with your bare hands had to do with the power of the Lord. It was always sort of presented.
I will tell you exactly. It had nothing to do with it. It's a level of entertainment, so you could present the gospel.
Okay, I'll go for
that's
that.
really it.
It always seemed like they were like, "Look, we're Samson, and the power of the Lord's coming over us, and we can rip a phone book with our hands. And if you give your life to Christ, you can have muscles."
You probably get this. You do enough events, people start saying crazy stuff, and you start saying stuff. But no, for the most part, right? Like it's an entertainment value, and it is impressive, right? Especially if you're going into some high school kids, you gotta like make yourself give yourself some viability to start talking to some numbskull high school kids, and that was a lot of fun. I enjoyed doing that.
So you were the guy that could rip a phone book, you could bend a frying pan. Anything else you want to mention that you could do?
Oh my gosh, dude! We did incredible feats of strength. Stacked these walls, massive walls of concrete, 3-4 feet high, bust through them with a single blow of the elbow.
I love how you talk, man.
Plates.
I'm sorry to interrupt you. Has anyone told you that you talk like a 1940s comic book writer having a superhero talk?
Yeah, that's how they describe stuff on the power team. Like That's exactly it. Very, very, very descriptive and comical.
Single blow of the elbow. Yeah.
A single blow of the elbow. One of my favorite things that they used to say, it always made me laugh, because every once in a while, dude, you just had to say some stuff to make yourselves laugh up there on stage and chuckle. Especially, like doing that stuff is a lot of team stuff, a lot of camaraderie with guys, and you're traveling with them for weeks on end, months on end, often too, staying in hotels. So you always got to give some value. But one of the guys, he was like in the military, and they would describe him. He was a Navy diver. This man would walk on the bottom of the ocean, and I was like, don't you always walk on the bottom of the ocean when you're in the ocean? I don't know.
There's nowhere else to walk, right?
Yeah, exactly. Doesn't everybody do that? But it sounded amazing. Like they said it in such a way that it was incredible.
That's a big part of the show business, is how you say it. Well, on that note, let's get into it today. We're going to be talking about what's going on in the housing industry. Troubled California, troubled Nevada. I don't know if we'll get into it today, but I've also seen some issues about foreclosures going on in Florida as well. Ooh. So out where you are, it seems like the market's pretty solid, which is one of the reasons I want to bring you on today, because not every market across the country is doing bad, but many of the hottest markets during the last 5 years or so have turned themselves upside down. And I want to kind of get your opinion on what you think is going on.
I'll do my best.
All right, let's get into our first one here.
Josh Altman joins us now. Josh, Los Angeles is implementing we're told they're going to implement a 4% cap on annual rent increases. How's that going to affect real estate in LA?
Stuart, thanks for having me again. Look, I'm all about affordable housing. It sounds great, but it seems to me like we're putting a Band-Aid over a wound here. Let's talk about the actual numbers here. 60% of people who live in Los Angeles rent. You have another probably 1.5 million units are available for rental. And out of that, about 40% qualify for this rent stabilization ordinance, which are buildings that were built before 1978. So it sounds great. It's good for the tenant because you have lower rent, you have stronger protection from tenant displacement. But let's look at the overall picture here. What you're doing is you're driving investors and landlords to put their money elsewhere, not in Los Angeles. And I'm seeing it front and center with my clients every single day. Their money is just as good anywhere else in the country. Now, I'm going to tell you how it's going to come back to the tenants, which people are not thinking about here. It's bad for the tenants because these buildings from 1978, they're not in great shape. And what happens when the landlord stops making money on these buildings? They're not going to fix the buildings anymore, so you're going to have a decline in the buildings. You're going to have harder to find places to rent because no more new builds are going to be happening, because why would you do that if you can't make any money? So there's going to be a lot less construction. It sounds completely counterproductive to me.
Are you seeing any landlords just getting out now, selling and leaving?
Well, it's interesting. I sold a place last week, a 4-unit, and so I called up the landlord that I sold it to, and I said, just out of curiosity, if you weren't making any money on this building, would you fix what's broken? He said, absolutely not. Why would I do that? Also, I had a call yesterday with Rick Caruso, a good friend of mine. We talk all the time. You know what Rick told me, which really blew my mind? He says, Josh, you understand that 30% of the cost to build goes towards red tape and bureaucracy. So what if we could take that?
I will definitely agree with that. So we build a lot in rural areas, and it's so much easier. So we have a couple builds going on in Tulsa County and in Tulsa. Just getting stuff going, the permits, and even if it's simplistic and minor stuff, you still got to roll through all this stuff. Out in some of these rural counties, like where I'm at, build my house. There's no codes, there's no permits. Not to say that you don't build something up to a state code and have a good product, but it allows you to be more affordable, be quicker on time, so you're not running these people, crazy with their interest-only payments during construction. I can't imagine what it would be like in a place like my business partner came from New York, and it was pretty wild in New York. Just some of the stuff he talks about. I mean, you might be looped up with zoning changes for years, right? 3, 4, 5 years before you ever get to actually start construction. So yeah, that's gonna kill any investor. You can't get your money to work quickly, and why would you go there when you can go get a 15% return, 10-15% return in the Midwest and Tennessee, Arkansas, Oklahoma? Why would you not? Why would you stay there? Because it'll appreciate later. Well, it's still going to appreciate in these Midwestern towns, maybe not 200%, but your cash flow is going to be really good while you're there.
Do you think people realize when they're voting for politicians that create rent control and say, we're going to go hammer the investors or hammer the builders or hammer the capitalists because these are greedy people and we need to take their money and we need to give it to you? I think they're aware that this is what's making housing more expensive, and that's why the rents are going up, because the supply stays so low.
Of course not. I mean, of course not. That's if you think the person that has the money and owns the buildings is the enemy, then you're going to say, well, you know what? Let's kneecap the enemy. But guess what? The city's no good, and the state's no good at owning buildings and owning housing that's actually rented out to people to turn a profit and make money and pay for itself. Can't do it.
Yeah. Whenever we say the government's going to do something, it's always helpful to recognize there's no such thing as the government. There's just a bunch of people. And if you take W-2 employees that are working for an organization with very little accountability, that are not good at this isn't what they've like. If they were good at it, they'd be doing it themselves. They wouldn't be doing it for the government, if that makes sense.
I have a wonderful just example of that. So I have a buyer who's buying the short sale right now, and they've been buying a short sale since June, and
they're not processes.
Exactly right. So the company that has it is a third party company. So someone who's not emotionally invested into this, they probably never ever even Google image this property. It's a number on a spreadsheet that they're trying to work through, right? And they're going back and forth with the bank. So I had it under contract once. It goes under contract. It goes about 60 days, and it hits the table of a secondary investor who's like, no, I can't do it at this price. So that deal busted. Well, the next person I contracted, same house. We knew that it made it to that investor. We knew the amount. We said, great. This should go really quickly now. This buyer's a cash buyer. They're ready to move forward. We're almost 6 months into this thing. It'll be 6 months in December. And absolutely crazy. But what do you do? Nobody. They keep saying, I will read you right here an actual update from this company. It's so funny. For about 6 months, they have been giving non-update updates that say just crazy stuff. So here we go. We finally got like I feel like somewhere on this thing. And this is Friday. It says, "Good morning. I spoke with the bank. They confirmed that the short sale is still under review, and that they are not wanting anything else from us. I know this has taken much longer than anyone expected, but at this point, it's in the bank's hand, especially with the large influx of loss mitigation requests caused by the government shutdown. We are following up daily and pushing everyone as much as we can. Thanks." Like, there's not a lot of urgency there. Okay, let me know when it gets done.
Yeah, not their problem,
That's
right? That's a
the
great
government.
Pass it on.
Meanwhile, the person that's going to buy it keeps driving by, and they're seeing the grass grow up, and then a new like ticket essentially assessed on the property from the city, because they're going to charge them every time it has to be mowed. Is that short sale company going to pay that off? Who knows? I don't think it rolls up as a lien on it, but it will when they start to put their utilities on.
Or you lose the buyer altogether who buys another house, and now they are forced into a foreclosure, not a short sale.
Agreed. Yep.
So it's going to keep prices down. It's going to get people excited to build like they do in Florida. By the way, all the agents in Florida, they're laughing at the agents in LA, what we have to deal with here.
Sure.
You're going to have more units. Prices are going to go down. Investors are going to invest, and LA is going to be happy. That's how you approach this the correct way.
You've only got 1.2% of Los Angeles homes changed hands this year.
Wow.
The market's stagnant. Why isn't anything happening? Why is there no more sales going on?
How much time do we have, Stuart? Because there's a
30
lot
seconds.
happening. There's a lot happening because, obviously the obvious stuff, we got the rates and everything like that. But remember, they also did something in the past, which I didn't think was a great idea. It's called the mansion tax. And that was a sure way to crash the market. This seems a lot like that mansion tax, where it sounds good and it's a nice, beautiful picture. But at the end of the day, it's going to come back on the tenants. And that's not what's going to accomplish what we're trying to accomplish here.
Josh, California is a case study in what not to do. Josh Altman, always good.
Yeah, the mansion tax is, I think, everything that was over 5 million or more, if I'm not mistaken. The problem is it's not only mansions. If you're doing commercial property, it's going to be over $5 million if it's in LA. This is not
they didn't state it as like residential.
No,
That
any
seems
real
so
estate
silly.
transaction over $5 million. So here's what happens. Commercial transactions don't take place. 1031s don't happen. New money doesn't flood into the area. The same people keep a property. They've got equity, but we all know as investors, equity doesn't do any good. It's not money in the bank. You can't go take equity and use it to fix up your property. So people don't make improvements. They don't creatively try to find ways to improve the area where their real estate is anymore. It falls into disrepair. Like when you stop having real estate changing hands, if you think about when all the effort to improve a property takes place, it's when it changes hands from one person to another. Someone lives in a house for 15 years. They're not fixing it up. When the new buyer buys it, they paint it, they make repairs, they look at the inspection report, they fix that leaky roof, they go do all the work. They just destroyed that. Also, they destroyed all the income that comes from the real estate agents that are making money, the loan officers, the title, the escrow, the handymen, the contractors, the Home Depot and Lowe's employees, the photographers, all the people that are involved in getting a house sold lost money. The economy gets hammered. All those people go apply for unemployment. It's a bigger burden on the people that are trying to make money. Now there's pressure to increase taxes. That makes owning real estate less desirable, and you enter the death spiral that we seem to be in.
That's a real shame. I mean, it's a beautiful area, but if you can't financially do it, then there's going to be no reason for you. You're going to leave and go to other places that you can. Didn't you write a book about that, Dave? I think you did.
Long distance real estate investing.
I think you did.
Yeah, somebody needs to get it in front of the governor of California and the city of Los Angeles.
The Las Vegas real estate market is plummeting, and the numbers are absolutely devastating. Right now, there are over 14,500 homes sitting on the market, up 31% from last year. Sales are down 42% from the pandemic peak. And get this, nearly 40% of all listings just had their prices slashed. This is not a correction. This is a collapse in real time, and it is about to get much, much worse. Let me tell you what's really happening in Vegas right now. Tourism is down 11.3% year over year. That's 1.5 million fewer visitors in just
let me
the
ask you
first
this.
half.
Pause it for a second. What do you think the reason tourism is down in Vegas? What do you think that is? Is it solely the economy?
I think that's the main cause. I think overall people travel less when they feel like they're not making money.
I think so too. You know, typically, so I've always heard this. It's just interesting that Vegas is seeing this. Is I've heard that in times of like when times are tough, the vices usually go up. So you would think that Vegas might be doing better than it ever has.
What if it is though? Like, what if everyone else is down 20% and Vegas is down 11%, but that is up for what it should be?
No, that's a good point.
Which is what my fear would be like. Go ahead.
I know. I think we're down here too, compared to what we were 2 or 3 years ago. Definitely are. Like I will probably be down in terms of like transactions, probably 10% this year. And it was a tough year. Like it's been a really tough year. It's listen, watching TV and watching clips on the internet, you'd think it really wasn't the Great Depression out there, but I feel like it's been strong. Like November's typically the slowest time for me. It's been the busiest. It might be the busiest month I've had this year. Like it has been the busiest November I've ever had. Lots of contracts, lots of people looking still. So, and I say this to everybody, a good home priced well always sells. So when you're seeing prices slash, it's because it's not priced well. That's just really it.
Yeah, but price well is relative. If you got less buyers looking to buy a house, which you're going to have when the economy is bad, they're almost looking at it like, you got to give me a price that makes it worth my while to buy. And it becomes,
and that's priced well for that market, right?
Yes. Yeah. But see, what's priced well for that market sells. And then there's 12 other houses that come on and they all price at that price. And there's only 4 buyers. Now, one of those people has to come down lower again to entice a buyer to buy. And so like you end up in a race to the bottom, which is what we're already seeing this in the short-term rental market. It's terrible right now. There's not a lot of people vacationing because they don't have a lot of money. They don't have job security, but there's a ton of vacation rentals. So everybody is lowering their prices and spending money to improve their properties just to try to stay afloat. That's a good point about Vegas, though.
2025, the Convention and Visitors Authority is calling it persistent economic uncertainty. But that is corporate speak for we are in serious trouble. When tourism crashes in Vegas, everything crashes. 26% of all jobs in this city depend on tourism. That's 359,000 people whose paychecks depend on visitors showing up. And they are not showing up. The unemployment rate is already at 5.8%, way above the national average. The private sector just lost another 1,200 jobs last month. Casino workers, hotel staff, restaurant employees, they are all getting laid off or seeing their hours cut. And guess what happens when people lose their jobs? They cannot pay their mortgages. Notices of default are up 28% year over year. Foreclosure filings are surging. Vegas is now 3rd in the entire country for foreclosure rates. And 1 in every 1,914 homes is in foreclosure proceedings. But here is the part that should terrify everyone. Home sales have completely collapsed. We are down 42% from 2021 levels. Transaction volume is 23% below the long-term average. In October alone, sales dropped another
Hey, pause it.
8.5%.
Did that say 1 in 1,000, 1,200 homes? Just a few seconds ago, is in, what is that, like 0.01%?
Lapsed. We are down 42% from 2021 levels. Transaction volume is 23% below the long-term average. In October alone, sales dropped another 8.5%. Homes that used to sell in days are now sitting for 55 days, some for months.
It's
The market-
60 to 90 days for sure right now. I see a lot of that. Like stuff that used to go in, 14, 20, 21 days. It'll sell, it'll move, but it's 60 to 90
Mm-hmm.
before you get a contract. Pretty, like I've got some customers right now, and it's a good house, large home. When they bought it, it had probably been on market about 4 months, and they bought it right around this time, right kind of into the year. They've had it for 3 years. They're not up that much from where they bought it, maybe
Mm-hmm.
5-10%. They bought it like 250. It's around 270 right now, 274. It's a good house. They made good improvements to it, and I'm just like, it'll take us a while. It's going to take us a few months to sell this thing, and then we're going to roll into the same time that you bought it. It just is, But hey, not everybody can buy and sell at the perfect time. You got to do it at what is your perfect time.
Well, if somebody is in a financial position to sort of make that payment for a significant period of time when they're down, if they're not cash flowing, if you get a long-term rental, maybe you're like losing $300 a month or something, you can float that. Yes. What you're saying is absolutely right. A lot of people, I think, got out in front of their skis. I
have a guy, I have an investor right now and he's not even, he's like a junior investor on it. And he was the hard money lender is trying to get him to refi this home.
Mm-hmm.
And he's got, and so I finally just sat down with the numbers with him. I said, all right, well, let's break this thing down. How much cash do you have in this? Well, he's like, I have 40 grand, and that's holding costs, repair costs, just like, money, capital calls on it, that type of stuff. Cause they've held it for like 3 years. The person running the rehab did not do a very good job on it. And just kind of decimated this. And I said, okay, what's payoff? It's about 140,000. I was like, okay, it probably needs realistically another 20 grand or more to get it up to like passable standard, to get it to sell for about 165. It's around a 150 right now. You take 150, even if you take 160, you already lost 40 grand. You're still going to lose 20, even if you get that 20 back. But I said, here's what your problem is every month it goes, you have holding costs. Every new contract, it's been some other new repair list that somebody wants because the rehab was done so poorly. And he just kind of got this thrust upon him because he's a junior investor.
Mm-hmm.
And I was honest with him. I said, I don't see you recouping any of your money. And he's like, well, what if I rent it? And I said, all right. So we broke those numbers down. His cash flow was like $230. And I said, you do that $230 for 10 years. Yeah, it shows a net of $36,000. Not your 40, but $36,000. I said, that's assuming that tenant pays on time every time. You never have to replace a tenant and lose that money, and you have no repairs ever on that place. I was like, he goes, and I told him, I said, I think my option would be, instead of putting more money into this, it would be to now let's mitigate the money lost on it. And I'm like, if that involves you walking away from it, you walk away.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a hard conversation to have. It really is.
I think people are having those conversations now when they haven't had to have them for 10 years. I mean, it was always like, David, I got 100K of equity, but I make $500 a month of cash flow. I want to retire, so I need the cash flow, but that's a lot of equity. What do I do? Now, I mean, I was just on the phone with someone today, famous person. I won't say their name. They didn't do anything wrong. They just bought and the market tanked, and they're in 2 markets that are vacation markets that are not doing good. And there is nothing they can do. There is no one to sell to because no one wants to buy there. And there is no one to rent the house because everyone else is already lowering their prices a ton. There's no way out. And we're having a conversation about like what options are realistically there. They're not. The bank is going to take it back because the banks aren't smart enough to recognize we need to work with the person and get something out of it, like delay how long before a foreclosure happens, give them a better interest rate for a period of time. The bank's going to take back a house that they're going to have no clue what to do with. And I wanted to make this video with you tonight, partially because it's not being talked about. These are conversations that are not showing up when on the public, on YouTube. They're either showing you data and statistics, which can be misleading, or they're painting a rosy picture so that you pay for their course. And the reality is that as the economy just continues to go down, jobs are going away, AI is replacing people. A lot of employees, to be fair, don't work very hard and they're getting replaced. And a lot of companies don't have business to hire a person for because we jacked up the interest rates and the money stopped changing hands. Real estate is going to be affected by that. Your tenants can't pay their rent. People can't pay the mortgages on their house, and all their investment properties that need to be repaired or fixed up or done to kind of keep up with everybody else who's fixing up their house. They don't have money to do it. And Las Vegas here is getting hammered.
Its velocity has died. Buyers have vanished, and sellers are panicking. Look at what is happening with price cuts. In November, 39.7% of all listings had price reductions. That's not negotiation. That's desperation. Sellers are slashing prices by tens of thousands of dollars and still cannot find buyers. The median price might show $474,000, but that is meaningless when nearly half the market is cutting prices just to get any offer at all. Condos are even worse, down 9.5% from their peak, with some buildings seeing 15 to 20% drops. The inventory explosion is the real story nobody wants to talk about. We've had 12 straight months of 20% plus inventory increases.
This is kind of amazing too. There's too much inventory in certain markets, but there's a housing shortage. I know that sounds really weird. I think the only thing that explains this is people have consolidated housing. They've moved in together, or they moved into apartment complexes, or they moved into mobile homes. But it's odd that housing is expensive like this because we don't have enough homes. However, there aren't anyone that wants to buy them. And I don't see a ton of tenants fighting over homes either. Have you noticed anything different where you are in Oklahoma?
No, I do. I actually have a customer right now. Mom is going to be moving in with her kids. When they're both selling properties, and they're going to be all moving in on one property. Definitely happens a lot. You know, out here is a little more insulated than that. I mean, prices are still good. Rural areas, you've got so many different loan opportunities and things that help people out. And all you got to do is, find a good condition home.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a little bit more insulated, but I'm still seeing it.
It's like I don't know. It needs to be talked about more because this is a weird problem to have that they've overbuilt in Las Vegas. There's houses that are just sitting there. I don't know that it's necessarily like the equilibrium of housing as much as it is buyers can smell there's probably a crash coming and they don't feel urgency to step in and buy.
Yeah.
There are 3,458 new listings hitting the market, but only 2,660 homes selling. Do the math. That's almost 800 more homes piling up every single month. At the current sales rate, we have 4.8 months of inventory. That's officially a buyer's market. And it's getting worse every week.
Do you think an interest rate?
And it's not just regular homes.
Just completely ends this right away.
No,
that's what a lot of people say. Interest rate's going to help this.
I keep
and
hearing.
I don't think it's just interest rate. you're the mortgage lender, right? Or you got the mortgage lending stuff. What's the difference of a payment from? I mean, I'm seeing people getting high fives right now. They're not. I don't think they're super high. What's a high five to a low four on a $400,000 house? Is that the difference of a couple $100?
Yeah, 150 to 250 bucks.
Yeah. So it's a marginal thing. Yeah, $150 does matter. Like that does matter to a lot of people. I think a lot of it is the state of mind. You got to feel good about the economy. You got to feel good about buying something. You got to feel good about your, even if this is going to be your primary residence, your quote unquote investment. Because what happens if you got to sell this thing in a year? What happens if you got to sell it in 5? I got a few properties right now where people bought, a couple years ago. And unfortunately, if you don't keep the condition, terrific, and it goes down from when you bought it, it's gonna be a little bit more challenging to move, especially when there's more options. And now there's more stuff. So now you're not the best thing on market for them. You might still be the best price, and that can still move it, but you got to get there with some condition stuff now.
I think we were lazy when we said that the low interest rate boom is what fueled the housing boom. It was not that. Because remember when people said now that they've raised rates, prices are going to collapse and we're going to all buy and get a steal?
Mm-hmm.
Did you see that happen?
Date the rate, marry the house, date the rate. That was my favorite one. Horrible.
Well, rates went up. Housing prices didn't go down. No one cared. They're like, I just want to sell my house. Rates affect demand. They do not make up demand. They are a member of the algorithm in the demand for housing. A much bigger member of that algorithm is the economy. Do you feel wealthy? Do you feel financially secure with a good future? Do you believe you're going to make more money next year than this year? Do you have a lot of money in savings? Are you ready to go improve your life? That's what makes
why did the housing boom happen in 2020?
We printed a buttload of money.
People were waking up getting influxes of $10,000 where their job wasn't affected by COVID, right? Like nothing was affected. And they'd wake up with $10,000 in their account. And, I'm wealthy. I'll go do whatever, give me one of them STEMI checks.
Caleb, we had so much money printed that companies were like in California, they were begging young people to come to work. They're like, please come work in tech. We will give you ping pong tables and foosball tables to play with on your breaks. We will let you work from home 3 days a week. At Twitch, I went and spoke there. They literally had vending machines like where you might buy a Dr. Pepper as a good Oklahoma boy, where they were free. You didn't have to pay for them. And if you forgot your iPhone charger, you would go push F4 and an iPhone charger would drop out and you would just have it at your desk so that you could have your phone charged. They were just anything they could do. They were throwing money at people to beg them to come to work. When everyone felt wealthy, they all wanted to go buy a house. And then they looked at housing like a hack. I can get a house and get other people to pay for it. I can get investment property and get even more money. We just became accustomed to crazy amounts of money flowing so naturally. And now I think that there's a really rough correction. Have you ever been at a point in your life where you were working out like an animal and then eating like an animal?
Oh, yeah.
And then what happens if you stop working out, but you keep eating like an animal?
Well, you balloon up like a human.
Yeah. Right. There's an adjustment. It's tough. I think we're in that place. We are all very fat because we've been living like we're in an amazing economy, but we haven't been in a good economy since they raised rates.
I would agree with that.
But not you. You're looking great, actually. You even combed your hair for this session.
Dude,
so
I
appreciate that.
I know, right? I had to look halfway decent.
Normally, folks, he looks like Thor. That's what I call him. He's a Nordic god.
Luxury properties are getting absolutely crushed. The $1 million plus market is dead. Transaction values are down 12.8% for high-end properties. These were supposed to be the safe investments, the properties that always hold value. Now they are sitting for months with massive price cuts. Even the cash buyers who used to swoop in are gone. Only 23% of transactions are cash now, down from over 30% at the peak. Here's what's really driving this collapse. The California exodus is over. Remember all those tech workers and remote employees who flooded Vegas in 2020 and 2021? They are leaving. California traffic on Interstate 15 is down 4.3%. These were the buyers pushing prices up, bidding over the asking price, buying sight unseen. Without them, there is no floor for this market. The population growth that justified these prices has completely stalled. But wait, it gets worse. The builders are in full panic mode. New home sales are down 37% year over year. Building permits are down 33%. When builders stop building in Las Vegas, you know disaster is coming. They are offering desperate incentives, rate buy-downs to 4.75%, tens of thousands of dollars in closing costs, and free upgrades. The median new home price hit $550,000, but nobody is buying, even with all the incentives. Builders are sitting on thousands of lots they cannot develop because the math does not work anymore. The rental market that was supposed to provide stability is collapsing too. Vacancy rates are approaching 10%, almost double what they were 2 years ago. Landlords are offering 2 months free rent, waiving deposits, anything to fill units. All those investors who bought properties to rent them out are hemorrhaging money. They are facing negative cash flow of $1,000 to $2,000 a month. Many are just walking away. What's happening in the neighborhoods is even more shocking. North Las Vegas, Paradise, Sunrise Manor. These areas are ground zero for the collapse. The foreclosure heat map from UNLV shows massive clusters of defaults in working-class neighborhoods. These are families who stretched to buy during the pandemic, put down 3.5% with FHA loans, and are now completely underwater. They owe more than their homes are worth, and with rising costs everywhere else, they cannot hold on. The psychology of the market has completely flipped. 2 years ago, there was fear of missing out. People were desperate to buy before prices went higher. Now it is the opposite. Buyers know they have all the leverage. They are waiting for prices to drop further. Why buy today when it will be cheaper in 3 months? This creates a death spiral. The more buyers wait, the more desperate sellers become, the lower prices go. Even the experts are sounding the alarm. Nick Gurley from Reventure Apps says Vegas looks exactly like Florida did before their crash. He is predicting further deterioration through 2025. The chief economist at Cushman & Wakefield says prices could drop another 15 to 20%. We are not talking about a soft landing here. We are talking about a crash that could rival 2008. Speaking of 2008, let's compare. Back then, Vegas was ground zero for the housing crash. Prices fell 62% from peak to trough. It took 10 years to recover. 10 years. And here is the terrifying part. Some metrics are actually worse now. Affordability is worse. The median income needed to buy a home is $108,000, but the actual median income is nowhere close. Interest rates at 7% mean a monthly payment of $4,500 just for principal and interest on a median home. The economic fundamentals are crumbling beneath this market. Tourism is not just down temporarily, it is structurally declining. Vegas is the only U.S. destination forecast to see international visitor spending decline in 2025. That is a $12.6 billion loss. The Formula One race that was supposed to save everything is not enough. The conventions that drive midweek business are not coming back to pre-pandemic levels. And then there is the water crisis nobody wants to discuss. Lake Mead is at historic lows. Water restrictions are getting tighter. Insurance companies are starting to factor in climate risk. Do you think people want to buy homes in a desert city running out of water? This is not just about economics anymore. It is about the long-term viability of Vegas as a place to live. The institutional investors who pumped up this market are quietly exiting. Hedge funds and
So
REITs
let me
that
ask
bought
you this:
thousands of homes are
the people who are exiting Vegas right now, they're not going back to California, or are they?
If they go back to California, you think they're probably moving in with family instead of getting their own house?
Probably. They're
They
not
move
buying.
that doghouse right there.
There you go. Hey, dude. All you gotta do is a little insulation. That's gonna be nice. Yeah, they're not moving back to places like California. They're coming further inland where pricing's good. And it'll probably end up doing the same thing. It'll drive prices up like it did there, and I'm hoping again, some of these areas are more insulated than others, but
Mhm.
it doesn't mean it's not going to get there. It just might take a lot longer than it has been for everywhere else.
I think you don't see this happening in the Midwest markets. I haven't heard any talk about a crash. It's the coastal markets that are more expensive. That were the belle of the
No,
ball where everyone wanted to be.
yeah, no. I mean, I'm still moving people in like a down year, and people are and things are still up, right? Like things are still up, but you might sell a little bit less transactions. Okay, well, that probably is somewhat of the economy, right? Like we get trickle down. I remember like 2008 crash really didn't touch us until like 2010, 11 maybe. It was like 2 or 3 years later.
Mhm.
So it took a long time for it to get here. Like a lot of areas were back kind of, they had crossed that hump and they were back on the up when it hit us. So again, probably will experience some of that. I think it will probably come, but I do think this is like the Midwest is a growth area. Like people are abandoning the coastal areas for the cost, and they're coming elsewhere.
Well, when the markets that were hot, we're talking about the coastal markets, they were hot because everyone had money. And when you have money, your mind goes to how do I improve my life? People can't help it. Like, you ever seen somebody happy in their relationship, lose a bunch of weight, but leave their partner? They think they can do better, right? They improve their life. They wanted to do something that would get them more. Somebody gets a raise at work, somebody does well financially, they want a bigger house, or they want to move to a market with better weather, more amenities. It's trendy. Austin was super popular for a while because it was the cool place to be, right? You ever seen someone's Instagram, Bob Smith, ATX? Everybody was ATX. They needed you to know that they were in Austin, Texas. Florida, same thing. South Florida was the hottest market I had maybe ever seen in my life because during COVID, all that Wall Street money moved into Miami. And then all the girls flooded to where the money was. All the dudes flooded to where the girls were. All the businesses flooded to where the smart people were. Everything kind of centered in South Florida. Well, when the spigot got turned off and all the money flow stopped, which is basically when they raise rates, nobody wants to be in those markets. It's crazy expensive. Florida's hurting, man. Their insurance is up. People are flooding out of there. They're all leaving. California, everybody wants to get out of there. The expensive markets like Austin, they can't rent their units out. Their apartments just sit there completely vacant. Not completely, but like half vacant. They're all bleeding money. The banks don't take them back because they got nothing to do with them. And where do people go? Well, when you feel not financially sound, you go to where affordability is more. You go to where there are cheaper real estate, where gas prices are lower, where food is lower, where you feel safe because the cost of living becomes the attraction, not the weather, not the bikinis, not the Brazilian butt lifts, these other things. And I think that's why we're seeing this like shrinking. Were you about to comment on your Brazilian butt lift? I apologize. I probably shouldn't have brought that up on this live. That was
Yeah, dude. I'm still in recovery from that. I don't know why you bring that up.
You're doing a great job sitting there on this video. I know it's got to be painful.
Well, I'm on my donut. So.
Okay.
No, like, yeah, I think you're right. You, in times of uncertainty, you flee to security. It's not that crazy. We do it for anything, like Oklahoma, we have tornadoes, right? on my TikToks, it's so funny. That's a pretty hefty comment. Is what about them tornadoes? That house isn't going to be there in 8 years, or 2 years, whatever. And I will say I've never ever seen a tornado, but probably once a year I have to go seek refuge, right? Because there might be one close or there might be something. So in times of uncertainty, you go find safety. You find where it's going to be safe. And in a tornado, you're gonna go to a storm shelter. Well, in an economic uncertainty, you're gonna go find some place that's cheaper, more affordable, job opportunities, all that stuff. It's a normal human reaction.
Yeah, and the idea is you want to be a step ahead. You don't want to follow where everyone else is going. You want to anticipate where they're going to be, and you want to buy there. And you want to sell before things get really bad. By the way, I don't know if we talked about this, but I need a verbal agreement from you here where it can be documented that the next tornado comes, I have a spot in your shelter. No,
you do have a spot in my shelter. You have a room at my house. It's there, and then we'll just walk through the gym to the storm shelter.
Yeah,
and we'll leave the door
open.
I'm
gonna need to be in your gym because I don't know if people know. I can barely raise my arm that high. I had a surgery. I don't know if you can see the scars here on that ruptured bicep tendon that you saw, and I am now incredibly weak. Like I have no bicep. It disappeared.
You're not wearing the little like sick cast thing. So
no,
that's good.
Yeah,
but you're on the up and up.
I'm limited to 5 pounds is all that I can lift. And my shoulder barely moves. So I'm in physical therapy right now. I'm going to need to use that gym is what I'm saying. We're going to need.
All right, dude. There's going to be a place for you. We're getting the full dumbbells set up and not just the little adjustables I have now. So
if you were a superhero, you'd clearly be Thor. Who would I be if I get strong like you?
Do you know who Plastic Man is?
Plastic Man. It doesn't sound flattering.
No, it's like Mr. Fantastic.
I'm stretchy. That's my superpower. Okay.
Yeah, dude. It's the arm.
Oh, I see. Because I put my arm out. I put you on the spot. I probably shouldn't have done that. All right, let's get to some of these.
You're saying that's a bad superhero?
That wasn't a great. That's not your best work.
Plastic Man is funny.
I held my arm out, and you said, "Well, I've seen Plastic Man do that, so we're gonna shoot with that."
Well, yeah, I have, but Plastic Man's funny. Plastic Man is like is some good comedic relief. He's hilarious.
All right, so you were trying to be funny there. All right, we'll take
it.
I thought I was going to get Captain America, something a little more serious maybe, but no.
How about Black Panther?
Yeah, I can't say that's the first time I've heard that one in my life. That's true.
There you go.
Excuse me. All right, let's get to some of these comments here from Nick Pop. Hoping there's still a way to make numbers work in California markets. Let me know in the comments, folks. Is anybody making numbers work in California markets? I'm not saying it can't happen, right? Because you can always come across that motivated seller. But a wise man told me earlier in my career, there's 3 forms of distress that professional home buyers look for. There's market distress. That's 2010. If you happen to have capital, everybody else has to sell. You can get in the market. There is personal distress. That is where a person themselves has to sell their home. They got to get out from underneath it for whatever personal reasons they have. That will always be there, and you may still have opportunity in California. And then there is property distress. That is when the home itself is in such disrepair, you can get a really good deal on it. My personal take here is that property distress is becoming harder and harder to find because the market has been so good for 10 years that a lot of properties were fixed up that used to not be fixed up. Personal distress will always be there, and market distress may be the area that we're going.
Or you have, here's one for you. When you have 100 wholesalers and all these people in it, and they're sending everybody all these cards that we want to buy your house, and they start to think, hey, my house is worth a lot. Where you used to get a deal from a very seller, down on their luck seller, very motivated. Hey, I got to do this right now. Well, hey, I've got 3 mailers. I'll call these guys. Now, whether they actually whether a wholesaler fulfills that and contracts and closes on it, that's a different story. But they sure think they're going to get a lot more.
Yeah. Yep. I just did a podcast the other day. I don't think it's aired yet with Tony Javier. And I was telling him there is now so much interest and demand in like off market activity, like wholesalers and flippers. Off market is its own market. He said it's not uncommon to send a mailer, show up to talk to the seller, and he's the third or fourth appointment of another person that sent one that wants to get that house. That is not different than selling through a real estate agent when you're interviewing agents and they're all fighting to get the deal.
Oh yeah, and a lot of times, like, you know, as a broker, I'm not a huge fan of the wholesale stuff because I've seen
People get
you know,
ripped off.
I've seen them. I've seen a wholesale guy collect a $20,000 fee on somebody who's just super down on their luck, and you know, if they just went on market and even sold it as like a, you know, a wholesale on market, they would collect that $20,000, right? Because an investor is going to pull it off there, and it's just it's kind of crazy. I see a lot of it. You know, there definitely is a time and place. You need some people knocking doors and doing that stuff, finding deals for the other investors. But
yeah,
you know,
but I mean, do you think that has something to do with why we're having such a hard time getting regular W-2 jobs filled, and everyone's like, it seems like so many people flooded into the easy work of being a real estate investor, and no one wants to do the gritty work?
Yes, because we what did we do in 2020? We watched all these videos. What we have an influx of $10,000 that a lot of people, you know, and good for them, right? They didn't want to go buy something, go buy some shoes or the newest video game, like get a side hustle. Well, what they do, they wanted to learn how to wholesale, or you know, learn some other thing in that section. Yeah, and then they made a little money, and they don't want to go back, even if they're struggling now. I think that's a very real thing.
All right, Bless 720 says, "What happened?" I don't know what he's referring to there. Angela, what types of cities are more affected by this? Are there any regions that aren't as affected? Well, it sounds like your hood's not doing too bad. That would be you, Caleb.
I lost my sound.
Can you hear me now? Caleb, folks, is sitting in the middle of a rainstorm out in Jennings, Oklahoma. There may be a tornado now. Can we confirm that you were not lifted up? Oh, he's gone. It does look like a tornado hit him. Don't worry, folks. He'll be back. This does put pressure on me, though, to carry the entire show. Lucky for you, I'm a professional. From Punakar. Oh, didn't have to do that for long. Welcome back, Caleb.
Sorry, I went away for a second.
Everyone was afraid that you were caught up in a tornado. The comment section was blowing
No
up.
tornado. It is raining. I'm looking at the comment section.
I made that up. I just wanted you to.
I was going to say, don't lie to me right now.
Punakar, the Redo Club has that data. It's the Northeast states that's holding up better. That sounds good. Punakar's picture looks like something out of a movie from years ago. What movie am I trying to think of, Caleb? They made two of them.
Scarface? Is that what you're thinking of?
No, it's like a cartoony type of a movie with a hero that was narrated in a kind of a cheesy fashion. They made two movies that were animated very similar to this. Jessica Alba was in one of them, and Bruce Willis. You don't remember that?
Were animated? Jessica Alba.
They weren't.
Hold on, chat. Go to the chat.
Okay, he's gonna look this up while we're looking. Punakar's picture looks like this movie. I think Spirit might have been in the name of one of them. It was like The Spirit or Spirit, and then the other one, something City, maybe. Oh, it's on the tip of my head. It kind of looked like
are you talking about Sin City?
Sin City, yes. I think
that's not animated.
No, but it has that look like his. It wasn't.
Yeah. Yeah, it's got that like noir. What do they call that?
Yeah, noir. Look feel to it. They did something like an overlay of animation type of a deal that made the characters. His picture looks like that. I probably should have said he looks like he's from Grand Theft Auto. Everyone would have understood that. I made it weird.
Okay, I feel you. Yeah,
generation.
I mean, I've never played Grand Theft Auto, so
no, you don't have time to play games, guys. I interviewed Caleb on Real Talk Real Estate, and he made the claim that he answers his phone 100% of the time. In fact, he's never not answered his phone in his entire life. It's a bit of a sickness. And two people called him immediately upon hearing it. He answered the phone, and their answer was, "Holy cow, you actually do answer."
He said, "Huh, you did answer." I was like, "Yeah, I do." It's
Man of his
crazy.
word right here.
Man of
All
my
right,
word.
Corey G, GTRE. My question for you, Caleb. What do you think GTRE stands for?
Got to be something real estate.
I think we're
RE.
halfway there. Yep.
I don't know. G.
Corey
Got to
G.
be a last name.
Yep. The G is probably his last name. So the G and GTRE is, we just need that T.
I don't know, dude. That's
Me neither.
that T's a mystery letter.
And I think we got 75% of the way there. Corey, let us know. Are you buying real estate RN or are you waiting? My next question for you, Caleb. When you read a text message where somebody puts RN for right now or OMG instead of oh my God, do you read it in your mind as RN or do you read it as right now?
I read it in my mind as RN and then I decode it.
That's what I do too.
Oh, that means right now.
And I don't know if people who text that way are aware that many of us reading it sort of look at you like you're an elementary school child when they, not that we want to discourage comments. So thank you, Corey, for putting this. But I've always wondered if when people put OMG, do they think that I'm reading oh my God? Because I'm not. I'm reading OMG and I'm thinking that's how a 12-year-old would talk. And I'm glad.
I feel like the only like text lingo that's somewhat acceptable is truly the LOL. I don't know if you're like me. Like LOL doesn't actually mean what it stands for, right? It's not. It doesn't mean
no one
laugh
actually
out
laughs
loud.
out
I've
loud.
never actually laughed out loud. But it also doesn't mean it wasn't funny, right? Like it has its own thing. I found that amusing in my mind. There was no external reaction, so therefore you get an LOL. That's
this
the
is
terminology.
this is sort of the replacement for an, you know what it is? It's the literally of acronyms. People use literally in a completely unacceptable way, but it's become accepted.
It's like a filler, right? Like, oh, literally this.
It just means
it's
like
a filler.
to a large degree. Here's what's ironic about literally. We are not talking anything about real estate right now, but I hope you folks are entertained. The word literally was created for one purpose, which was to differentiate from figuratively. It's the only reason the word exists. And yet we almost exclusively use it to mean figuratively. Well, how did that happen? My head literally exploded. No, it didn't, because you recovered really well. Why? You could use any word in the English language other than literally, and it would be okay. This is the only word you can't use, and yet it's the only one that we will.
Well, it sounds better than saying, you know, Dave, when you told me that, my head figuratively exploded. I mean, that might be, or like the word incredible is one that's funny. Like, oh man, that building, that's incredible. Well, that building is built there. Not like incredible means that's. I don't believe that. That there's no way that has credibility. The whole word says that doesn't exist. But
and yet,
there it is in front of me. It's incredible. Mr. Incredible, Mr. Incredible. I'm not Mr. So-so, Mr. Mr. Yeah, no, it's incredible. So good you wouldn't believe it.
Silly Willie O says almost time to buy. Silly Willie O is almost perfectly round, as in 3.14. Any thoughts?
Is that Harambe?
Is it? I don't know that Harambe was ever that round, man. That looks like someone that should be on the Learning Channel show or something. And he also says roughly the second quarter of 2026 is when I'm looking to buy. Oddly specific.
Well, that's like whenever. Well, that's like when everybody's looking to buy. April 26th. That's great. That's a hopping spring market.
We'll see how it goes. Angela says that Tulsa is the number 2 place people are moving to. She actually sent me that. Guess. You want to guess what the number 1 state in the country that people are moving into at a higher rate than they're moving out of?
Is it Nashville?
Close. You have a second guess?
Is it?
You're gonna get it. Imagine that you were gonna go to Nashville and it was too expensive, and you.
It's Knoxville. It's Knoxville.
That's the number
Knoxville,
1
Tennessee.
city in the entire. You were just trying to remember the name of Knoxville because Nashville makes it so confusing.
Nashville, Knoxville.
Which is odd because I spend a lot of time in Knoxville and in Tulsa, and those happen to be the 2 like high demand cities in the entire country. Silly,
well, they're great. They're great stuff. Like I roll through a lot of investors in Tulsa, or just people looking to buy, and they're like, "Where is the affordability at?" And like Tulsa's a weird city where like our downtown isn't actually in the middle of the city. It's like to the west a little bit. So it's kind of, but you still measure everything from downtown, right? So people who are looking, they're like, well, Midtown's only, 5 minutes from downtown. So like the Midtown's high end real estate. Well, then you get started going south, and you're kind of familiar with it. You roll into South Tulsa and Jenks, and then Bixby. Those are like the big kind of expensive areas. Well, after those kind of started to fill up, you started getting some bleed out to the east, which was Broken Arrow. You started getting a little more bleed out further south. You started getting some stuff to the north in Owasso. West, for some reason, there's a little pocket of Tulsa called Sand Springs that I had a bad stigma, like it was industrial and kind of ghetto stuff. That is now like starting to, and I've been saying this for like 5 years. I'm like, I have a buddy who's got a few real estate investments there, and downtown Sand Springs has started exploding. Like it's where all that growth, all that development's going. And then what's going to happen? You got some more rural areas that'll grow from that too. You'll get some bleed out over that. It's still moving, expanding, and they're great places, dude. They really are.
Yeah, that's true. What you find is, we were just giving an example earlier. I was trying to remember what it was. It's Nashville and Knoxville. People fled to the main hub in an area. It becomes expensive, and they go, well, I can't quite afford the main hub. What's around it that's cheaper? Those are secondary markets. Maybe you even get into tertiary markets where you find you get way more affordability and you will still get price growth. So Knoxville is crushing it because Nashville became too expensive.
I have a friend who got talking about Nashville. I have a friend who I'm not gonna say who they are, but they were on American Idol, right? So and they did very well. And he was talking to me about moving back to Oklahoma, and I was like, well, dude, aren't you guys like recording a lot in Nashville? Don't you want to live there? He said, man, it's just so expensive. And I was just like, dude, you could probably just like Tennessee's, I feel like is very close to Oklahoma. I'm like, you could probably just push out like an hour outside of Nashville or Knoxville or something and find something very affordable, very nice, good neighborhoods, and be very close to where you need to be to do your work.
That's what you want to do. That's the example of Sand Springs to Tulsa.
Yeah.
That's why you're seeing this happening. Smart money doesn't go to the expensive markets. It goes to where there's demand, and then it moves just to the fringe where it can get a place for half as much money that will be worth as much in 5 years.
Because really, though, what's a 5 or 10 minute extra long commute?
Yeah, especially if
like you've been out to you've been out to my place. I live in a rural area. For those of you who don't know, it's about 35 minutes to the west of downtown Tulsa. I can make that drive real quick. There's parts of Tulsa from downtown Tulsa I can't get to in 35 minutes, but I live on the outskirts of it, live on the fringes of it, and it's a lot more affordable out here. It's a lot more. Cost of living is just much more inexpensive.
Yep. Silly Willie says, I don't think they'll move back because Vegas is still cheaper. I'm sure that was in reference to people leaving California or people leaving Vegas. Vegas is a tourism area. However, I think that there's things in Vegas other than the Strip that we just wouldn't think about. Nevada's not a bad state. I mean, they are no state income tax, I believe. It's relatively let people do what they want to do. I kind of like the Reno area. It can be a little rough in certain areas, but it's beautiful when you get up that way. Reno's like, if you're in Northern California, you go to Reno. If you're in Southern California, you go to Vegas. Mick says, great duo here. Love the opinions, which is very good English for a dog that was somehow able to type.
Yeah, I was going to say I wouldn't argue typically, but I might have to argue with that dog.
Yeah, you just don't like a dog trying to tell you how you should be living your life.
Yeah, I'm kind of down on dogs though in general right now. I've got one. He just doesn't listen. He's not a very good dog.
Oh, and you don't take any responsibility for that?
Well, it's not my dog. It's my wife's dog.
Fair point.
I inherited it.
Sunday night
and-
therapy sessions on the David Green Show. Caleb, hang in there,
Yeah.
man.
I'm
But
trying.
this dog does like us and think we have a good thing going. So
I
thank
would
you.
agree. I would agree with you. Mac 5888.
Silly Willie says he has a friend in Idaho who's been killing it last 7 years. I think outside of Miami, Boise's probably been the hottest market in the country for the last 7 years. People don't realize this because I don't talk about it a lot. There's actually a lot of pressure on me to know what's going on in the country. Because my first book was Long Distance Real Estate Investing, I sort of became this de facto expert on what was happening and where, and everyone was asking me where to invest. And then on Bigger Pockets, I'm in this position that everyone's listening. And I was like, man, I got to know everything about every market. If somebody mentioned Greenville, South Carolina, and I didn't know what was going on, I was ashamed. Like, oh, they're going to figure out I'm a fraud. So I have to pay attention to stuff I don't even want to pay attention to. But I do happen to know there's a lot of people happy in Idaho. If you think about the markets that did the best, it's pretty much where Californians leave. If you're a hardcore conservative Californian, which there are plenty of them, you go to Idaho. If you are an angry conservative in California, you go to Scottsdale. If you are I'm kind of like the artsy fartsy type, and I want to go somewhere where I'm not taxed to death, but I'm not like a crazy gun loving patriot, you go to Nashville. If you're a pretty like of the right in California, you're pretty far to the left, you go to Austin, Texas, right? Like it's kind of predictable where a Californian is going to go. And all of those areas are the ones that exploded in value because the people sold in California took all their equity to these places, drove up the prices. But you can tell where a Californian is going to move.
Well, they also get something that I feel like for relative, like in relatively speaking, for the value, right? Like they get something they could never ever achieve in California. Right? Like I've got a 80-acre ranch in the Wichita Mountains for sale right now. Brand new home, 2,400 square feet, super high end custom house for $875, which is, unthinkable to somebody coming from there.
Mm-hmm.
That's amazing. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. I think Wichita, Kansas will have its day. I don't know when, but I feel like it's coming. It's affordable. There's industry. I think at some point Trump is going to move. He's kind of stuck in the tariff battle right now. By the way, Caleb, do you have any info? I don't know what triggered this we need to give the tariff money back thing that was put up to the Supreme Court that I've been hearing people talk about. My guess is like there's a claim that he exercised authority he didn't have. He had to go through Congress to get the tariff. I don't know. I'm completely speculating. And that's what led to this. I think it's got him really wrapped up in fighting to keep the tariffs, which has a lot of money coming in. But if we can get that behind us, my guess is he will move into getting manufacturing jobs coming to the Midwest. What's your thoughts on if I'm right here?
I have no idea. I kind of get, frustrated a little bit on why they can block everything. I'm not going to say every idea he has is good, but like the country elected him, let the guy do his agenda. He said he was going to do it the whole time. Why are you going to block every little second of his doing? And that's on a state level too. My dad's running for state rep, and somebody asked him the question the other day about people. Should a governor be elected, be able to appoint somebody, or should they be elected like Secretary of Education? This is kind of going off left field, for kind of merging from that question, but a little bit of it is, if you elect a guy, let them do their thing, let them run it, let them try something different. The tariffs haven't been tried in a long time. Seems like we're bringing in some money. I would rather, this is me, I would rather get taxed on something that like I buy, because I can always control my spending. I can always control, hey, I'm just not going to buy that thing. Do I need a imported golf cart? Probably not.
Do they make
I shouldn't
Ducatis?
buy that.
That would be kind of tempting.
A Ducati golf cart or just like an
Yeah,
imported?
Ducati golf cart.
I'm sure they do, dude. Those import. I don't know if you're on the TikTok shop channels, but Vivor makes everything, dude.
Okay.
So they probably do.
No, I don't have TikTok. I was warned by my good friend Brandon Turner that TikTok was the most addicting productivity killer in his life, and I'm like, I'm just not putting it on my phone. I'm saying
Oh,
no
it
to drugs.
is.
Yeah, I don't need that. I'm one of the DARE program students. I don't know if you guys have that in Oklahoma, but there was the DARE.
Yes. What is it? What did it stand for? I don't even remember.
I don't know if they ever even told us. It was just to keep kids off drugs, but that was clearly not the acronym.
Dude, we used to have school assemblies where people like bring a dude in from prison and chained up everything, and he'd like killed somebody in a DUI, and he's in prison for the rest of his life. Just scary straight type of
Bro,
stuff, dude.
They brought someone into my 3rd grade class with arms completely covered in like meth oozing.
Oh yeah.
And they had us walk by and look at his arm. And like, if you do drugs, that's gonna be you.
I mean,
which
probably
was crazy effective. It made its mark, right? And like, we don't do that kind of stuff anymore.
We need to do it. You know, really, what happened is they applied all that, like, hey, we're gonna keep kids off of drugs and off of that, to, hey, let's stop bullying.
Yeah.
And then, we know where that got us.
Yes, that's right. Nick Pop says, by the way, Nick Pop 8, I don't know why, but that name flows really nice. And he put a lot of effort into this question. So we appreciate you, Nick Pop. Is there a way to underwrite a loan to justify purchasing a property at a higher purchase price during a riskier, more expensive economy? Could inventory move if sellers could cover future downturn costs? This is clearly a man who's thinking. What do you think, Caleb?
Yes, I do think if you can justify purchasing a property at a higher cost, but you need a pretty hefty concession at that. Like, let's say I think I told you about this deal, David. I had one earlier this year. It was VA loan. VA loans are super cool, right? Because it's not actually, like, if you look it up, it shows that you can get up to 4% in closing costs, right? Well, if you structure that and apply it differently, you can get up to 8%, I think. So I had a customer. He bought it was listed at $575, and he needed 7% concessions to, like, go towards a whole bunch of stuff. So I ended up buying that thing at like $615. Got $42,000 in concessions, and that was able to, like, go towards rate buy downs, paying off credit cards, and a lot of different things that had his, like, debt to income kind of high. So by purchasing that at a higher rate, he was able to have a better finance. A higher price. He was able to get that, have his, like, financial standing be improved by the amount of concessions. So yeah, it could help you.
Well, there we go. We got the right guy here on the job, powered by A&W Cream Soda. Great answer there, Caleb.
Right.
From Silly Willie O. Most people never leave where they were born in IMO. Could be wrong. Apparently he's from Irvine, Missouri.
Dude, I want IMO Irvine, Missouri.
He's never left.
I think that's near Jasper, Missouri, actually. All right, dude. No, I'm going to say this. It is okay to stay in a place where you're from.
Yeah?
Like,
this sounds
hot
like
take.
the beginning of a country song. This sounds like the opening
take
line of a country song that you're giving us right now.
No country song. Hot take. Stay where you grew up. Make it better. Improve the place.
Wow.
Grow it.
Dance with the one who brung you.
That's right. It's I have conversations at length with other friends like this, but when I'm from a very small town. Dave's been out here. I went to high school, also a super small town. I love it. Thought it was great. Thought it was fun. It needs improvement, right? You need people to stay in these communities to improve local communities. Yeah, you might have to travel a little bit to work, but your cost of living is going to be lower, and you're gonna be entwined in a community. You're gonna be happier.
Yeah, it's I was the same conversation I had today with the person who's struggling with their houses I was telling you about. We were talking about overall, the culture in America has shifted towards find a partner that appreciates you the way you are. Find a job that will pay you more money. Move from where you're at to another situation in life, whether it's romantic, whether it's employment, whether it's a hobby that's easier for you. But it used to be, are you having a challenge in your marriage? Maybe you're selfish. Let's work on that. Are you stuck at your job? Well, are you bringing your A game every day, or are you sandbagging it? Are you not getting playing time? Maybe you need to work harder or get better. Now they're like, well, let me just go to a team that's worse and I can play more. And I don't love that mentality in general. I think we should be looking for areas that will stretch us and test us. And so if you're staying where you're at because you're happy there, make it better. I love that perspective, as opposed to let me move to some other place that everyone else moved to and hope that I just catch the current of progress and it just carries me towards the life that I'm hoping for.
Well, you move somewhere away from community, family, happiness, love, you'll be dead inside before too long.
That happens too.
I mean,
I don't know.
that's-
I don't know a whole lot of life going through South Miami. Let me tell you, man. Have you ever seen it?
I've never been there, dude. Never been to Miami. I need to go.
It's as close to Sodom and
I was supposed to
Gomorrah.
go on a power team crusade once, and like the week before it got canceled. So
I mean,
that was
like in the
pretty
last
sad.
couple years, it's completely different than what it would have been probably in your day.
in the 80s.
Yeah, yeah. I go for record at the Fresh and Fit sometimes, and they're like right in Brickell downtown, like the hot part of Miami to be in, and it's absolute insanity every single time I go. Like it's not a healthy place to live. Nick Pope says, I imagine there's a better future making agreements between sellers and buyers rather than making banks rich with a 50-year mortgage and tons of interest paid up front. Caleb, you're a man that makes deals happen. Let's hear you seem like you might have a
I am
contrarian
glad
opinion
someone
here.
I'm glad someone brought up a 50-year mortgage. I think you and I were texting about this the other day. Gosh, who thought that one was a good idea? But I will say this though, I don't think it's inherent like the worst idea. I really don't. Like to the person who is very disciplined, might work, right? Hey, I'm going to pay off my house in 10 years anyway. What's it matter? I'm just going to have a cheaper payment, and then I can apply the rest towards a principal. But most people are not that disciplined, and so that is going to probably get a lot of people and a lot of problems with equity when they have to sell in the first 5 years. It's just not great.
You know what I like about stuff like the 50-year mortgage is it forces us to have conversations about what people are actually doing that we wouldn't have if it didn't even come up.
Sorry, I'm back.
Did we lose you?
Yeah, I knocked my headset
There we
out.
go.
Go ahead.
What I was saying is the thing I like about conversations like the 50-year mortgage is it forces us to have discussions that we wouldn't have had if this thing didn't come up. So the point of like, you're not going to pay it off early, 1,000% true, very valid. But it does bring up another point. How many people are actually paying their mortgage off? Don't most people just keep refinancing that thing into perpetuity?
I would say so. Well, I mean, the average person doesn't even stay in the home they buy for more than 4 years, 5 years might be average.
Yep. I think it was every 7 to 9 years when I was selling houses. It might have changed.
Yeah, I mean that's probably your national average. I mean, dude, I get people, been in 2-3 years. I've sold the same house like 3 times before, and that's in the course of like 6 years. Happens quite a bit.
Do you feel like you have the right to sell that house forever when that happens? Like it's.
If you hit more than 2, it might as well be my house. I know I can sell that one. I know that one by the back of my hand.
That's a good point. Christian Batchelor from the One Brokerage and I actually had a whole show on the 50-year mortgage. We break down what your payments are if you go from a 30 to a 50. We break down what your percentage of interest to principal is on the amortization schedule. We explain what amortization is if you don't know what the hell I just said. Really good show. I put the link here in the comment. So you guys, if you're listening to this, check that out. And I'll try to remember to put it in the show notes as well. All right. From Punakar, he said, I meant the Resi Club. And Hanson said, oh, a tornado didn't get him. Thank God. See, they were concerned about
Thank
you.
you.
Caleb. The David Green Show has loving, loyal listeners.
I like that Doge dog on there too.
It's a pretty cool looking dog. Speaking of cool, Juan knew the movie that I was talking about. We just weren't looking at the comments.
Sin City.
That's it. We found it. Thank you for that. Hanson says Midwest markets are doing well, but not sure that will hold if the labor market weakens. What do you think he's talking about a labor market weakening in the Midwest?
I assume he's talking about maybe blue collar stuff. If he's talking about like blue collar labor.
Midwest markets, I don't see labor weakening there. Those are like
I don't either.
All of the earth people.
They're coming in like I know construction's busy right now for us. Like we're building a lot of stuff. Yeah, I just don't. I mean, I'm sure AI will affect something somewhere. I don't know. I feel like AI is gonna affect anything that you can like sit down and do that somebody can do on a computer screen. That's what that's affecting.
Those type of jobs, are they more likely to be in the Midwest or the coastal market?
No. Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying is that I don't think that position affects here. Oil and gas is always affected. It goes up and down. I'm in a very like high oil and gas area. Like I'm probably 20 minutes from Cushing. Cushing is the pipeline crossroad of the world.
Thank you for explaining that. Nobody would have had any idea.
Nobody knows that. So here, I'll give a wonderful explanation of Cushing. All the pipelines that go from like Houston to Canada, all the crazy stuff, they all cross and intersect somewhere. It's in Cushing, Oklahoma. Lots of tank farms, which is just these massive, huge tanks that store crude oil. That's a big industry around here. It's definitely affected by your like in 2007 when I was in high school, which was like big time oil boom, right before that it's the oil fell out in like 2011 or 12. Big time oil boom. One of the oil guys bought a golf course. It was awesome. Making some cheddar. But you get all that stuff. You have all these people who have all these businesses associated with oil and gas, and then it falls out, and they all have to shut their doors or go work for a bigger company, something like that.
I think there's a lot of wisdom in recognizing that when the market's booming, that doesn't mean go buy 7 houses because you have a lot of money right now.
No, I'll tell you right now. Here's one with Cushing. What do you call? Is it? I think this is speculation. There was a rumor that Cushing was going to get a refinery. It's a whole thing. Still, a lot of people believe it over there. I, for one, am not one of those people who believe it. But somebody asked me. They said, "Hey, are you going to start buying stuff in Cushing?" And I buy a lot of stuff very near there in a town called Drumright. I do several holds, rentals, and that type of stuff. And I said, well, maybe, but it's going to have nothing to do with the refinery. If it fits my investment model now, then sure, I'll buy something there. But I'm not just going on clear speculation. And I've had people who, or just know of people who have bought stuff on speculation there, and then they struggled, right? Like, well, I guess I'm going to have to rent this thing out for a while. And you got to recognize what's going to happen. Not that you have to have a crystal ball or anything. That's hard to do, but recognize am I only investing in an area because what everybody thinks is going to happen or what I think is going to happen, or is it actually just a good idea?
Yeah. And don't get overextended. There's times markets are hotter than others. You want to take advantage of it. I just think you got to remember when you're buying, your income will not always be going up. Oil and gas will not always be doing well. Tech will not always be doing well. Miami will not always be doing well. Just because you're doing good doesn't mean you need to buy like as much as you can possibly get. I think a lot of people got on that bigger pockets train of scaling, refinance and buy your next property. And I'm fine doing that if you're buying in a solid rental market, but a lot of people weren't. And now when the market turned on them, they got no one to sell to. And that's kind of what we're seeing from these videos we're watching.
You know, I heard a guy say something, and it was so funny. It was, you don't go broke on the deals you don't buy.
Yeah. You don't lose money in poker unless you put it in the middle of the pot.
Yeah.
Your favorite dog says, I got one near Palm Springs, California. It was personal distress. The husband died and they were a bad landlord, accepted way under asking. It was a DSCR loan. DSCR is actually an acceptable acronym to put in a text message. I will say that. Good times near my other rental.
DSCR is a good acronym to use in normal conversation.
Saves you a lot of time.
I don't even know what it actually stands for.
Do you really not?
I just know it's a bank account loan. That's all I know.
It's not even really a bank account loan. Actually,
that's what everybody calls it, though.
What would you guess? I want to hear what Lord Caleb.
Oh my gosh! Let's see. DSCR. I don't even know. Like, because I know it's associated with, or at least income levels.
It's okay,
secondary credit, something like that.
Okay, that's not bad. This is a metric that has always been around. It was typically used in commercial deals. So if you were going to lend to somebody to buy like a strip mall, you would be asking, well, how much money will the strip mall make? I don't really care what Caleb makes because he probably can't afford this $10 million place. But what income will it bring in? And this was a ratio. Oh, okay. Thank you, Hanson, for ruining our game. We got somebody in the chats who wanted to bail you out. Probably a home auditor in high school. It is debt service coverage ratio. I wanted to just grill.
No, you were leading up to it, dude. Continue. Make the clip.
So, anyways, all the fun has been sucked out of the room. This is a loan that looks at what is the percentage of income to the expenses of the property. So typically the magical number was 1.2. They want to know that if your debt on it is $10,000, the income is at least 1.2 of that. So 12,000. That's the number they're typically looking. What was new about these loans is they moved it from commercial property with adjustable rate mortgages and balloon payments and 5-1 arms into 30-year fixed rate deals that you could do on residential property. That was the game changer for the real estate space. Because you didn't have to qualify for a conventional loan anymore. It used to be once you got to 4, it was really hard to get the 5th one. And when you got to 10, it was impossible. You could not get another conventional loan. So you were forced to do what we called portfolio loans. DSCR came in and now, boom, if your property cash flows, it didn't even have to be at 1.2. Some of them were doing them at even 1%. You could get the loan. And there you go. He feels bad now, which was probably my fault, but that's okay. He deserves it. Angela, which I'm assuming here, was talking about not wanting me to say the #1 city where everyone is moving to because Angela is moving to Knoxville. Said, don't tell them. Don't do it.
Dang it. We did it.
You did it.
You did it.
Yeah. You're right.
Sorry, Angela.
Hanson's laughing now. Tulsa was mentioned. I used to race BMX, and they hold the law. Ooh, where do you think he was going?
They hold the law. They hold the LA.
Is this an acronym that we don't know?
I don't know what that means.
Did he hit enter too soon?
Probably. Dude, I know some guys who used to. race with BMX. PDX. Where's that
church at Church on the Move is a BMX racer. Found that out the other day, last week.
Dude, I went to high school. This isn't BMX, but I went to high school with a motocross kid. And we all knew him. Like, didn't really know much about him. He actually dropped out of school. Like, I'd say dropped out. He homeschooled, right? And started doing like racing stuff. It wasn't until I was an adult and met a bunch of like just people who were motocross guys. I did not realize how good this kid was. Like, everybody knew him. They said he was so fast. So the only difference between him and Travis Pastrana is Travis got a deal, like a money deal really early. So that's the only difference.
But this guy had the same skill level?
Yeah, so same skills. Like, if he would have gotten the money early, probably his skills would have increased too, because he would have had more opportunities, all that. But I had no idea. I was like, dang, that's crazy. But yeah, BMX.
One of my favorite things in life is to not tell people I'm good at something and let them figure it out themselves. Like that moment where you're like, he's that good. He's like Travis Pastrana good. That's such a compliment to that young man that he didn't feel that he needed to boast and tell everyone how great he is. He just went and raced.
Donald Trump has had a statement. He's like, it's better for them to don't tell them when you're good at something. Essentially, let them, find out. And then he had like a secondary thing. Unless they're not gonna find out, then you need to tell them. It was so funny. I have to find that quote.
Too.
No, but it really is kind of funny. Like, it is better if someone else can tell that person that you're good at something than it really matters.
They don't know.
But if no one else is going to tell them, then you got to tell them, because then they're not going to go, you're good at something.
That's funny, man.
No, I had to find that. That was a great quote.
Coming from PDX, what's up, David? Well, what's up, Michael Martin? You got a great name. Sounds like you should be in movies, and you actually have a headshot.
Where's PDX?
I was about to ask you that. I'm going to guess Portland, Oregon. Do you have a guess?
Maybe. I'm wondering if that's like an airport, like handle, like LAX.
Philadelphia, maybe.
I don't know.
Michael Martin, tell us where you're from. And why did you throw the N5W? Were there that many other Michael Martins that you were competing with? Portland, Oregon.
Portland, Oregon. Oh, dude. So what does it mean? What's the PDX? I want to know.
It's like ATX. He's probably commenting because we were talking about Austin.
Oh, I got you. I feel you.
I think if you throw X on something, people think it's cool. Like, I could be David Green X, and immediately I look trendier than David Green.
I mean, Twitter moved to X, so.
See what I mean? Elon, if he's nothing but not cool. I know that's a joke.
I mean, he named a kid X, I think. So,
that's what I'm getting. X-Men. They weren't called the Q-Men. They were the X-Men for a reason. Everything becomes X. And if you can spell something with an X instead of the traditional spelling, then that's cool too.
Yeah, like I was playing charades one time, but I think you talk in it. And the guy said xylophone. And he's like, Z. And we're like, I don't think that's right.
And you still remember that to this day. Thanks for sharing that.
I still remember that.
He says, hi, Caleb. He didn't say hi, David. Apparently, you've got a growing fan base here on the David Green Show. Make sure you guys go listen to my episode with Caleb. Caleb, have you memorized your show number by chance?
No. What is it? I have no idea.
I didn't memorize it. It wasn't my show with you.
I will say this. I am not one to like go listen to my own stuff because I don't really like the sound of my voice on playback.
I feel that way too. Do you also?
I love the sound of my voice when I'm talking. You can't shut me up.
Not when you're listening to it.
No, not the playback.
How would you rate the sound of my voice?
Dude, Dave, you have a phenomenal voice. It's very noticeable. A great radio voice. I would say face radio, but that's that's a beat down joke. How do I? Very familiar. I listened to your show for a long time on
so it's
BT,
like
right?
It's like your blanket from childhood when you hear it.
Yeah, it's like going back to safety in a storm, like what we were talking about earlier.
I'm the tornado shelter of real estate.
Your voice is moving to Oklahoma. That's what it
is. That's good. I think you got a great voice. I think that I got several messages when we started recording that said, I like this guy. He's entertaining. I think you have a lot of inflection.
Well, that's good.
You have like a change of pace when you talk, just similar to like a running back or a point guard that needs to change pace when they're playing. You do that.
Do you know where I got that from? I'll tell you where I got that from. It's developed. The power team, dude. I was doing all sorts of stuff. You had to. I have this thing on my TikTok videos. People talk about. I do this like whisper shout where I'm like, "Hey, I'm behind this house," and it's like a lot of energy, but I'm not screaming into the phone. And yeah, part of it is I'm usually in neighborhoods or somewhere. I'm not trying to be like super loud and scream. But it was developed on the power team because if you're like on the microphone, a lot of times you couldn't hear hear your voice back on the monitors. So if you were just screaming, you would lose that voice first night. And they're 5 nights of stuff. And so you had to learn to like be energetic but not scream your voice out.
People don't realize how hard it is to communicate clearly, succinctly, and not be boring. Like, I got a couple people that work for me. I'm not going to say their names because they might be listening at some point. And when they talk, it just makes me want to poke my own eyeballs out with this pen. It's monotone. It's slow. I can't handle it. I just start like freaking out, needing to get off this phone call, right? Like, they just suck the life out of me.
It's one of those just text me.
Yeah. And like, but then their texts are this long, right? Like, communication is not something that you either do or don't do. It's something you need to learn how to do. And in my head, it is literally something you do out of respect for other people. Because if they're going to listen to us for an hour and 40 minutes when we're talking, we have to make it worth their while. We have to make it fun. You can't just say stuff and it tastes bad. You don't want to be a brand muffin. That's what some people are. They are a brand muffin. Have you ever listened to NPR?
I mean,
I don't know how people do it.
no, not really. The only time I ever heard NPR was when I used to listen to Freakonomics radio or something.
This
And they
is
just wouldn't mention it.
NPR, the David Green Show with Caleb Wright, joining you today to the pitter-patter of rain on a tin rooftop and a well-manicured, hair-combed Norwegian god. Today we are going to be discussing foreclosure. You can only do this for so long, and it's terrible. Punakar's back. Sin City, GTA. After investing in traditional rentals for over 2 decades, I started investing in fractional real estate on Arrived. It's easier to diversify in places with a great yield and fundamentals. Knoxville being one. You familiar with fractional real estate investing, Lord Caleb?
No, sir, I'm not. You know, getting above my head on fractional real estate. I mean, I'm guessing. You know, you might be able to tell me. I have no idea.
I could tell you. There's a lot of pressure on me to know stuff. I predicted this being a thing, not to toot my own horn, but I just could see it coming a couple years ago when the market was crazy hot and you couldn't afford to buy a house. Do you remember how NFTs worked? Were you paying attention to that whole thing?
Oh yeah. I think so. So people would just they're buying a percentage, right, or investing a percentage into a home.
Yeah,
Is
that's
that
it.
right?
Like if you and me were going to partner to buy a house, it would be presumably 50-50.
You know, I have an investor who was doing that. He was coming down from Denver and he was buying, you know, these $50,000-$60,000 houses that he could rent out pretty well. Like they were nice, sub 100, you know, somewhere between 50 and 80. And he would get 2 or 3 people in with him, and they would do these.
Well, imagine you had 100 people or 5,000 people.
That's
So
crazy.
you're sort of buying shares in a home, but you probably don't buy them in one home. It's probably a fund that buys 100 houses, and you are buying shares in the fund. So it would function like a REIT, real estate investment trust, that's not publicly traded.
What is the difference? Because this stuff kind of can go over my head a little bit, and I'm fascinated with it. I know some guys doing it. What is the difference between that and like a syndication?
This is going to get me in trouble if I have to give the legal answer. It's not.
Don't give me the legal. Give
it's
me
not
the
a whole lot different. The main difference would be in a syndication, you've got 2 major roles: the general partner and a limited partner. In fractional real estate investing, you're not a limited partner. You're sort of buying stock in a non-publicly traded company. But you wouldn't have like if you're an LP, you've got protections in the law if the GPs start doing things screwy where you could go in and take control. I don't think you get any of that with fractional investing.
Gotcha.
And the idea was when NFTs were super popular and you were buying a percentage of a fictional thing that was supposed to be worth money, that you could do this with real estate. I think we're heading to a day, and it sickens me to say this, where there's some stupid 19-year-old YouTuber or TikToker that gets a bazillion views because they do jackassery on the internet, but you're like, that guy's going to blow up, right? Or there's some girl who you're like, she's going to be huge on OnlyFans, that you can like buy, you can invest in this person early and get shares in their future earnings. I'm pretty sure we're coming to that day. Not that I'm looking forward to this. You look disgusted, but I could just tell like the way that the world's moving. That's what we're going to have. What do you think?
I mean, you're probably not wrong.
Okay.
Sounds like degeneracy, so I'm sure it's probably true.
All right. The dog, your favorite dog. Tulsa was mentioned. I used to race BMX. Does anyone know what BMX stands for? There's an X in there.
Bicycle motocross, dude.
Okay. Did you say that earlier?
that.
I don't think you did.
No, but I know what BMX is.
Bicycle motocross. That's a
Yeah.
funny. Okay. So it could be BMC, but
I guess it's I don't know if that's what I know it as, bicycle moto. But
so you might have made that up. I don't know.
you know, I might not know what the M stands for, but I do know that it's like, you know, bicycle, like dirt racing and.
But see, cross should be C, and they didn't, because X is cool. You throw an X on it, and people are interested.
No, the X is always something like, you know, in flying, when you say, "Hey, I'm flying my cross country," you don't say when you abbreviate it. It's not a CC. It's an XC.
XC, even though CC is obvious, I mean, X finds a way to dominate and take over other letters' jobs because it doesn't really have its own use. It's like a lazy letter that never gets used and it just wants to do something. So it hijacks other letters because it's got all the free time in the world.
And then they also try to do that to Christmas too. So
yeah, they're trying to take the Christ out of it, right? When I was a kid, that was like a major sin. You don't say Xmas.
You don't say Xmas. It is still a sin now. You don't do it.
I used to race BMX. Tulsa holds finals each year. The funniest thing was a Burger King converted to a strip club. They changed nothing on the building, but
I mean, what was the name? What they change the name to?
That's what I was just wondering. Like, Bop Queen instead of Burger King.
There's the names of strip clubs are always so funny. There was a place I was on a crusade, and we drove by one, and in Killeen, Texas, and it was called the Twisted Wrench. And I was like, "Is that an auto shop or?" Oh no, they have 4 a.m. eggs and legs. Okay, that's a strip club. Great, interesting.
I did read an article. No, I saw a video about how like strip clubs are shutting down, which is just another sign that people don't feel like they have disposable income. So men are not going,
or because everything that they go in there to see, they can go find on the internet in 10 seconds for free.
So strip clubs are sort of the Blockbuster Video of the degenerate industry. Yeah. Not that I'm feeling bad, but I do think it's a sign that people don't have money and the economy is really bad when even that is becoming something that's shutting down. Stimulus check talk only seems to come back up when the Epstein talk gets heated. I'm not going to let Caleb go on a huge rant about this, but anything you want to say?
Stimmies and the steam. Yeah, they're hand in hand, brother.
Stimmy, steam, y'all. All right. Angela says DARE stood for Drug Abuse Resistance Education, which we probably could have guessed. This is one of those acronyms I'm a little embarrassed that I didn't just immediately think of. She typed it out very quick, so she spelled resistance wrong, but that's what the DARE thing was. And she said, I'm disappointed. I've never been offered drugs once. They kind of lied. Or they did their job. Everyone's afraid.
Good for them.
Since the economy's in bad shape, what can be done to make the economy work better for most people? What a great question. We're actually thinking creatively instead of just critically. What do you think? What can we do to get the economy moving?
You know, it's such a hard question for me because I'm just like, I kind of have that like Alex Hormozy thing. But we'll just work all day, you know, work till the skin falls off your bones. You know, there's probably a more technical answer for that than I know. Like, I don't know.
All right. I had a long talk about this topic. I'm going to give you my 2 cents on it for whoever sees the video. I don't know if it's going to go viral. Probably won't, because people like videos that lie to them, and we don't lie here. This is what I think is going on. I think inflation is actually more closely related to lack of labor than it is to anything else. So if you're in a boat and everyone grabs an oar and we're all rowing the boat, the more people are rowing and the better they are at rowing, the faster the boat will go. In my analogy, the people in the boat are the people in the country. Their ability to row is their skill level in the workplace, and the speed of the boat is the wealth of the nation that goes dispersed amongst the people. What happens is certain people sneak their way into the boat, or they get tired of rowing and no one's watching, and so they stop rowing, or they fake a hammy pull and they're like, I can't row. and they become dead weight on the boat that is not helping to contribute with rowing the boat. And then other people see that they're not rowing and they go, well, then why should I row? And then other people go, well, if I can't get a girlfriend, if I'm really good at rowing a boat because they're on OnlyFans or they don't want to get married anyways, why am I going to row? And a bigger and bigger chunk of the row people move to the I'm not doing anything, I'm just dead weight people. This is the socialization of an economy from capitalism into being socialistic. When everyone is capitalistic and they're all pulling their weight, the thing flies through the ocean and we're the dominant country in the world. As people stop rowing, they become taking from the economy. They still get education. They still get healthcare. They still get their food paid for. They still get Section 8 housing. They still, like, nobody lets people starve here. So they're still pulling. Their weight is in the boat, but they are not helping to propel the boat forward. And then it becomes an all call. Hey, come to this boat because you don't have to row. You can just sit here and they'll take care of it. Magically, the boat just moves. That makes everything expensive. Like you and I are in real estate. When we need to hire someone to do work, if you can't find someone to go put a roof on or do some drywall or repair a leak or fix something easy, and they want to charge you an outrageous amount of money, the investment itself falls apart. You can't make it work. If you want to hire someone to work for you and they say, hey, I'm not working for less than $50 an hour. And you're like, I just need you to sit at the desk and answer a phone. What happens is everything becomes expensive because there's not a lot of people contributing to the economy. We keep looking at the metrics, Caleb, and saying, where are the numbers? And sort of looking at it backwards. Like, what is the economy doing? Rather than saying, what would make it go well? If you flooded the labor market with a bunch of these people that are upset because their SNAP benefits got turned off for a minute there when the government shut down, and they all had to go work, everything would become cheaper. The people on the boat, even if they're not great at rowing and they don't make a ton of money, it would make things cheaper for everyone, and their life would slowly get better as they got better.
You would have more people entering into the service, right? Like say plumbing. I had on one of my houses, I had to get a new gas line swapped out, and so I had a plumber over. And this guy's like, "Yeah, dude, I'll do this for $4,500." And I was like, "Whoa, man!" I'm like, this cheap little rental, bro. I don't have that in the budget for this. And he's like, "Well, it includes the machine rental." I was like, "Well, I have a Mini X. Go use this. Cut that price up." Well, he didn't like my controls, right? And I was like, okay, fine. You can't figure it out for one dig. Well, no. So what does that make me do, right? It makes me shop it, where I would normally just call him whatever price he would give me, right? I would do that. Well, now I got to shop it. Now I got to find competition and bring that in.
Yep.
So the competition who I use for a lot of other stuff, you know what? He's going to use my machine. He's going to do it for literally less than half price because he's hungry and ready to go. So you take any of these people who are not working, who are sitting on the sidelines, and you put them into any service, the price is going to go down on that service. They're going to have more affordability. Therefore, as like an investor and as somebody who owns more properties, I can then now afford to say, cool, you're doing that. Well, I need you to do that in 4 more locations. So now I've got them employed. Like I've got a guy who does some pretty decent work for me. And he's affordable. That's kind of his biggest thing. Well, guess what? Because he was affordable on these things, on these jobs, I can afford to employ him for the entire year. So I literally worked for me for all of 25, and it's probably going to bleed into 26 before I run out of things, but I probably will buy other stuff to keep him busy.
Mm-hmm.
It's, dare I say it, it's the trickle down effect, but kind of.
Yeah, that's the reality of how we get costs in the country down. It's very simple, but it's very unpopular. Everyone's got to work. And there's ways you go about doing this. You can say, hey, are you on Section 8 housing? Are you on SNAP benefits? Are you receiving a free education, but you're not working? Well, here's the deal. Everyone has to work. You show that you work 40 hours a week And if you don't work 40 hours a week and you don't have some disability, you're going to go work for the government. And the government jobs are not going to be fun. Why can't we have people that cut the grass of taxpayers, wash the cars of taxpayers, show up and do some kind of work? I know that sounds like you and I are not used to hearing this, so we would look at it like it's abusive, but you could make the argument it's abusive that we take taxes from people and give it to people that don't work. It's just as unfair.
I think you should be required to work if you're going to be, well, you know, like, and everybody will use this example. Like, what about the actual, like, downtrodden? What about the actual person who is truly disabled who cannot work? That's what that stuff's for. But when we see on the internet people get on there and be like, I lost my snap and I just ain't working. I don't want to work. I don't want to do it. Well, then it makes you frustrated to no end, to where you're like, you know what? If you don't show me a record of you working 40 hours a week, you ain't getting this. Or if we're gonna break it down, let's break it down to a more controlled thing, where it's boxes at the grocery store. You know, the whole deal. We just don't want you to starve. You know, we don't want you to. Or that's what it's for, right? We don't want you to starve, not go buy McDonald's on it. But that's a whole nother tangent.
Well,
we might have to switch that from the real estate David Green show.
This is how you fix real estate, though. I've thought about this so much. You can't fix real estate without fixing the economy. You cannot get rents up, home prices up. Income cannot go up until the economy does better. Expenses keep going up. Why is it so much more expensive to get insurance? Because labor and materials cost more.
Dude, health insurance. This is me, family of, now I got 3 kids now, family of 5. My insurance went from health insurance, $800 a month in May, to then it jumped up after I had my 3rd kid to like 9, which I expected to go up a little bit, to then 12, and now $1,500 a month. That's $18,000. Even if my wife has another kid, I'm not, you know that. Mm-hmm. If I'm a cash payer, I'm not spending $18,000 a year on health stuff.
When I tore the bicep tendon that night, right? I drove to an emergency room because I was pretty sure I knew what I did. What do you think? I basically got an X-ray and an ibuprofen. What do you think I paid for that trip?
Are you cash payer or are you?
I have insurance. This is my responsibility.
Your responsibility. I mean, is it like, I hear cash payers when people say, yeah, I pay cash for it, then I always hear them say it's like some stupid cheap number, like hardly anything.
But when they have crazy that it's more expensive with insurance. That's
when they have insurance, it's always super, super high. So I don't know.
$2,000.
$2,000. I mean,
$2,000 for
that's crazy. That's insane. That's insane.
Yeah, and you know what he said? You need surgery. Go to a hospital and give them this piece of paper that says you need surgery. I'm like, well, everyone knew I need surgery. My biceps are rolling up to my shoulder. Like, you saw the pictures of that thing. $2,000. Now, the only reason it's that expensive is because everyone else in that thing, if you'd have seen them, dude, it was a bunch of mutants sitting in that ER. None of them are paying for any of that. They have to charge me $2,000 to pay for the other 12 people that were in there at the same time as me that don't have insurance. This is what I mean. Everyone's on the boat. One person's rowing. How hard does that person have to row for the boat to move at all?
I think I'm going to cancel it, actually. Like, I think I'm going to do one of those, like, MetaShare plans just in case, and then just go over to a cash payer. Like, because I just don't think I can. I just don't think we use that much stuff. Even going to the doctor pretty often with kids, I just don't think you use it that much.
It's bad. If we had everybody working to pay for their health insurance, all the health insurance would go down. The point I was making earlier is labor and materials are so expensive. That's why insurance for housing is high, because no one's doing the labor and nobody's making the materials. So you have to charge a lot for them. If the market was flooded with people that had to work, they would be learning trades. They would be learning skills. Everyone would be getting stuff together. The whole quality of life would go up. Even if the individuals weren't becoming super wealthy. That's, I think, how we got in this mess is we have so many people not working and housing is getting dragged down. Our expenses on real estate just keep going up and up and up and up. And regulation keeps, I just got hit by the state of California. They said, hey, this thing that has no problem at all, we passed a new law that we do inspections on all small multifamily. Your fourplex that has one unit upstairs, it's got like some concrete stairs that go up to it. We've decided that you need to tear the entire thing down and rebuild a new one. Not fix a part of it we don't like or reinforce it. Rip the whole thing down, buy all new materials, build an entire new thing, $26,000. Like, this is coming at a time when rents haven't gone up in a couple years. They're charging me more and more taxes. My insurance keeps going up more. This makes zero sense other than the state forcing the people that own assets to pay for things to stimulate the economy that they're destroying. You see what I mean? If that wasn't going on, real estate wouldn't be so bad. It's never going to get better, Caleb, until the economy itself gets better. And that won't happen until everyone works. And I know people don't like everything President Trump does. I think he understands this. And that's why he wants to bring manufacturing back. Because what else do you bring back? Where do we have opportunity for work if it's not that?
You have to somehow employ the people. That's it.
That's it. And if you're the people and you vote for a politician that says we're not going to employ you, we're going to give you universal basic income, we're cooked. You're cooked. Like, you become socialistic and then nobody rows the boat. And when no one's rowing the boat because they're like, what's the point? That guy's not rowing it. Now you got to bring the whip out. You will row the boat or I will hit you. That's communism.
You know what they say in the I'm quoting the Incredibles a lot because my kid watches the Incredibles all the time. And also I love the Incredibles. It says that there's a line in there where they're like, hey, we're Dash, the youngest one's like, I thought he says something like, I thought you said we were special because they have powers, right? And his mom goes, everyone's special, Dash. And he goes, which is another way of saying no,
nobody's special.
No, when everybody's got that basic income, then ain't nobody got nothing.
Yeah. That's what I'm worried about. If we don't get a movement of people that say, I'm grabbing an oar, I'm rowing a boat, and there's like some peer pressure to get people to do it, then the alternative that I described is what we'll have.
You know, I heard you break down in your analogy. I heard you break down like, hey, this is what the boat is. This is what the current is. What's the oar?
The oar is the job you do, the work you
so
put
so
in.
The oar is people. There's plenty of jobs out there. Like, people can do stuff.
There's stuff that needs to be done every day. Bro, Angela, who's commented a couple times, she's the property manager for Coast to Coast Getaways, my management company. We wanted to put wallpaper on like the accent wall. You heard this story?
Nobody does wallpaper. What are you talking about, dude?
Brother,
no one does that.
2 laundry rooms, a bathroom, and a accent wall. Peel and stick wallpaper. At most, this would take someone 2 days. It should be 1 day. At 2 days, what do you think my quotes were to put up wallpaper?
I would say $5,000 plus.
Yep.
Insane, and I only know that, right, because I'm a home builder, and we don't have anybody who puts wallpaper. And my wife we're building our own house, and she wants wallpaper, and I'm like, honey, that's like a high skill position now. Like it really is, right? Is putting wallpaper, putting some stuff on there. It's almost like it's paid like a high skill,
like that. They wanted $7,000 or $9,000. Okay, I can hire a plumber last minute, weekend, Christmas, holiday pay will be less than someone to put up wallpaper. There should be high school kids, college kids everywhere being like, I'll do that for $20 an hour.
Do you want to know my solution to that, to my wallpaper thing? As I said,
off the boat, if I'm guessing.
No, I told my wife, I said, you're probably just going to have to learn how to do that. And guess what? She is going to learn how to do it. And
we're gonna praise her. We're gonna have her on the show to talk about wallpapering and how she contributed.
Oh, she would love. You know what she's doing right now? I don't know if you are on her gram or not. But so we're gonna be tiling around our fireplace in our master, and she bought a bunch of what we're doing is just like white subway tiles, and she is painting on them, like individually, little family specific things, like you know, we got married at this place called Pecan de Rosas. So she like painted a pecan tree on one. Very, you know, very, very artistic. Very
Well,
high end.
there's unfortunately going to be a lot of stay-at-home moms that have to hang wallpaper if we can't fix this problem. And I'd love for your wife to be able to stay there with your kids and not have to do it, which means able-bodied
Right.
people need to do something. But this is what's ushering in the AI revolution because people don't want to do stuff. And I think people are believing that we're going to have some utopia where it's going to be amazing, and it's going to be a very bad scenario. Juan de Oliveira, what are your thoughts on small multifamily utility splits? I don't like the of RUBS. Am I being too buy box specific? Do you know what the acronym RUBS stands for?
No, sir.
Something utility. I don't remember what it is either. I think they use utility. It's like a shared utility system where if you have 4 people that all rent one unit in a fourplex, you take the utilities, you divide it by 4, and you bill it to each person. So
that's what a lot of like. That's how I think my guy.
if you don't have it individually metered, this is how landlords.
I think you can get sub meters like for water. I don't know. I actually have a friend who looked into it a lot. You can put a sub meter on stuff that just tells you the usage.
They're easier to do than it used to be. Yeah, you can do that. You just basically take the pipe going into that unit, you put a meter on it, and then it will. I think there's even like a Wi-Fi that will connect to it, and it'll.
Yeah, it doesn't necessarily connect to the municipality, but it connects to you, so you know what to bill.
And then you know what to bill each person. Because I'm like Juan here. I don't like the socialistic element of anything. I don't like billing everyone the same, knowing one person's using more water than someone else. It just causes irritation. I used to work for a transit police department, and I'd watch guys jump the turnstiles. And the frequent like criticism, because I was a dog I would just go after every single person jumping it. It was like my pet peeve. Because I hated the thought that Caleb goes and he pays $3 for his ticket and he puts it in the machine and some 19-year-old kid just jumps right over the top and throws a middle finger to the world. Why should anyone pay if other people are allowed to not pay? It just discourages every single person from being a good human. So I would just like target the fare gate jumpers. Like, stop doing this crap. It's $3. It's already subsidized by the federal government, the state government, and your local government. Pay $3 and get a ticket, or at least be sneaky about it. You're just going to like openly flaunt it anyways. It's that element that I think discourages people. And I didn't want everyone in our system to feel like they're dumb for obeying the law. That's what RUBS does. You're like, well, why should I take a short shower if my neighbor's taking a long one and I'm paying the same? I might as well take a long shower. Why should I save money? Because it isn't going to benefit anybody and we're all going to pay. I don't like RUBS either. I agree. It's not healthy psychologically. DSCR, dogs sure can rule. Pretty good guess. Hanson, the party pooper, said, whoops, I couldn't help it. Martin said, hi from Chattanooga. Speaking of
Chattanooga. Yeah.
Shout out to
What's up, chat? Chattanooga in the chat.
Chattanooga, there you go. Michael did say Portland, Oregon, and we got Rogelio Ramirez. Look at that happy couple. I love seeing that. Says, hi, David from Green Bay, Wisconsin. Welcome. Michael Martin says, I'm currently doing a refi with the One Brokerage.
Hey.
My mortgage company. Bought my first house to House Hack from David Green. Seeing Green information back on BP. Now you got the David Green Show. Make sure you guys subscribe on Apple, Spotify, or here on YouTube if you haven't already done so. Very glad to hear that, Michael. Let me know how it goes. And we're now besties, because if you do a deal with one of my companies, I feel indebted to you. Nick Pop, how do you make, I think he means DSCR loans work when purchase costs are high and current interest rates cause mortgages to be much higher than rents can cover? This is the problem everyone has. My solution is you don't. You pay less or you put more down. That's the only way it's working right now.
Hot take. Not every deal is a good deal.
Yeah. DSCR only works if it cash flows. And right now, purchase prices, like Nick is acknowledging here, they are too high for what rents can support. And you know why rents can't support it, Caleb? Because people aren't making enough money to pay higher rents. So we are stuck. Until the economy improves, rents are not going to go up, but you're not going to stop expenses from going up, which means that vice is just, it's like a rear naked choke, man. It's just getting squeezed tighter and tighter. Nick Pop also said REITs are similar to stock market ETFs. Any guess what ETF stands for? I know this one.
Electronic transfer or something? that what it is?
Electronic transfer funds. That's exactly right.
Funds, that's
Good
right, yeah.
job. Multiple owners and multiple properties, similar to many people, can own combinations of multiple stocks. Kelly thought that my emergency room trip was $15,000. That's somebody who's had a bad experience with healthcare. And FIRE stands for forced into retirement early. That's what AI can do. How do you fix the economy if that happens? We should end on this one, Caleb. What are your thoughts on what we do as a country if AI forces people out of work?
As a country, I mean, gosh, I don't. That's
What do
such
you do as
a
human?
hard
Let's try that.
question.
What do you do as a person? You lost your job. Okay,
If I'm as a person, I'm going to go find something that can't be done on
By a
the
computer.
internet or by a machine, right? By a computer. Like, I mean, I guess once Elon drops his robots, then we're really in a hurt. But for right now, I can't get a haircut by Grok. I can't. My wife can't go get her nails done by Grok. I can't like physically, dude. And here's another thing. This is something that I think is gonna go for a while. Even though the machine might probably be more inherently like trustworthy than a human, because humans, obviously are capable of deceit and lying. I think right now nobody trusts them because it is capable of deceit and lying. Like, I've seen some stories, just crazy stuff of it. Like, I guess these people were using it to do like make some legal documents, and it just like told them the completely wrong thing. Just crazy. So
Here's a thought. Let me ask you this. Do you want a robot to serve you in everything you currently spend money on right now?
No, that's the thing. No, I don't.
Right?
Is there some stuff that I would be okay with it? Sure.
Wallpapering. I'm okay if the robot does it. I'm definitely not paying $9,000 like that guy wanted. However, you go to a restaurant. I don't necessarily want a robot explaining to me what cut of steak would be the best thing to get or what sauce might work on this noodle.
A robot's not going to know that, hey, if you get a filet, you need to add a béarnaise sauce to it. Like, they're not going to know that.
Or if I explain, well, I like this thing, a robot might have a hard time recommending me what I might want or understanding what I'm trying to ask. What if you go to a physical therapist, which is something I'm doing right now, right? I want someone who's going to move my body around and be like, oh, it's stuck right here. It's probably because of this thing. How would you feel about this exercise?
Here's something. Let's go back to like the waiter waitress type thing. Is this is probably like me giving maybe too much. I don't know. Eventually, it'll get there. They'll know exactly what all your stuff, like how you get advertisements now. But when you go to your robot waitress or waiter, they're gonna give you examples based on things they know you like, right? Well, a current waitress who doesn't, a human who doesn't know you is just going to give you an example of something. Well, I like this. Well, what if you try something you've never tried before and you have nothing based that you can base on that says to the algorithm, I'm going to like this. Like, you're going to try something brand new. You're going to miss out on all sorts of stuff. What if your palate changes a little bit? I used to not like mustard when I was a kid. I love mustard now.
Have you ever had an experience where you went to buy something from somebody else and you felt that you wish a human could have explained it to you better? Like, you got your pilot's license, you're flying airplanes now.
That is correct.
Do you have any experience with that where you would prefer to learn from a person than you would want a robot teaching you?
I would say almost every instance of learning. Like when like a human, right? I can ask them like, "Hey, what's actually important here?"
Mm-hmm.
So like, when flying, right? If you dumb it down, that one of the things that they say is the only thing that you gotta that you have no choice to do when it's flying is land the airplane, right? Because you can choose not to fly, but once you're up there, it's got to get down.
Yeah.
Now it might be in a crash, but you want to land it safely and you want to still be able to use the airplane when it's done. That's another thing that they say. Like if some robot's telling me and they're getting technical and they're doing all the stuff, I just need to say, hey, how do I land this plane and not crash it? Like, just give me the dumbest version of it. Tell me exactly what I need to know. and then we'll move on to the next thing I need to know. But that's that way. Like if I can just talk to somebody, I remember, and I'll even go a step further, like just being able to communicate. So whether that's with a computer or, somebody foreign that's running some call centers. I was helping a customer. It was early. No, it was early this year. The lender was having some problems tracking down like some. I think they had like a write-off or something on their credit, that particular customer did, and they couldn't get it from this particular company. And so, but every time they would call in, they would say, "Yeah, we have record of it being written off. It was this car from '08." And we'd say, "Okay, great. Can you send that to us in an email?" And they'd say no every time. Every time they'd say no. It was a foreign call center. I was like, "Just give it to me. I will call the person." I get there. I say, "I can talk to somebody in the U.S." And within 2 minutes of talking to somebody who I can actually have a communication with and can actually talk with, and communicate and say, "Hey, this is my actual problem. This is what fixed it." Old Kyle from Minnesota said, "Yeah, I can get you that here in just a few minutes." And he got it and solved the problem. And it's communication.
And you want that with a human. You want to be able to explain a mix of emotion and logic and have them understand it and fix your problem. If anybody's been dealing with Airbnb's customer service right now, it's a mix of AI and virtual assistants in the Philippines that are not listening very closely to what you need, and it's driving people literally crazy. They're losing their minds because it's so frustrating trying to use that. It is not better for society that we've offloaded all of these jobs to other countries and to artificial intelligence. And so when people are trying to figure out, what do I do if AI takes my job? Ask yourself the question of what is it that you like from other people? And then become that. What is that Muhammad Gandhi quote? Be the change that you wish to see in the world. It's something along those lines. Like, we know what people are looking for. We just don't want to provide it. We want to be lazy. We want to get a bunch of money and not have to do anything. And that's what got us in this mess where AI is threatening to take our jobs anyway. The service is ridiculous. I literally changed. Do you think he's talking about Airbnb? Oh,
my STR strategy.
Yeah, my STR strategy. But he put strategy. Very clever there, Patrick. He's pissed at Airbnb.
Yeah, dude. There's one. But that's a hard one where the people are the ones kind of paying for it, but you got to have your host, right, to have your product. It's kind of a tough one. I'm not in the short term game.
No, and I don't think that you mind that right now because it's a rough game out there. But thanks, Caleb, on this plane analogy. Let's land the plane here. You want to tell people where they can go if they want to get a little more of your amazing personality and maybe some help with real estate in Oklahoma?
Absolutely. You can follow me on TikTok at Real Estate Rhino. I am also on the gram at Lord Caleb Wright, Facebook at Caleb Wright. I think you have to follow me now on Facebook. Can't just accept friend requests because I got more than 5,000. So
wow,
what do you say?
Wow,
gosh, how does that high end, Dave? High end on Facebook.
How does it feel to be that popular? This is like a form of Oklahoma royalty.
I'm more popular on TikTok, but it just doesn't feel the same as it does on Facebook. It's high end, It's like YouTube. And then you can also find me on my cell phone that I have right here, 918-693-3535. Text me, call me. I always say I'll answer. I always say if I'm awake, I'll answer. And if I'm not, then you'll hear from me when I do wake up.
Do you want to sing the Drake? You can hit me on my cell phone to get people to call you.
No, I don't want to do that.
All right. Maybe if you guys call him and ask for that, he'll give you it. Make sure you reach out to Caleb. Let him know. Thank him for being on the show tonight. We had him here for 2 hours and almost 20 minutes when he only committed to an hour. He may be upset about that, but he hit it when we were recording with all of y'all out of great respect. Guys, we know this is a very tough market. This is a very tough economy. Nobody wants to cry about anything, and nobody is, but I know it's tough. So thank you guys. Hang in there. My advice as you're going through these difficult financial times is to reach out and look for something that might mean a little bit more. than just money. And if that's something that you feel tugging on your heartstrings, or you feel a calling to want to know more about what really matters in this world, look me up on Instagram. I'm David Green 24, and reply with the word faith in my DMs. All you got to do is that. I will tell you about my faith-based mastermind. It's totally free. We talk about Jesus. We ask very difficult religious questions. We wrestle with the things that are stopping us from being closer to God, and we do it as a community, like a bunch of Spartans fighting for each other. So if that's something you're into, Instagram, David Green 24, send the word faith. And if you're not into that, well, don't worry about it. There's no rush. Actually, that's what this t-shirt is. That's the Spartan logo right there. Just keep following us here. Subscribe to the channel to get notified when we go live, and we will all get through this time together. Caleb, thanks for being here.
See you, Dave. Thanks for having me.